If that kid Wei Bai dared to make his sweetheart even a little bit sad, he would chop him up and feed him to the sharks. Sweetheart. A fond smile spread across Xie Jiyu's face as he saw Xian Yuman walk out of gate 2. Daddy has missed you to death. Xian Yuman gave him a halt gesture with her hand. I'm treating you to a meal. We can talk while we eat. Xie Jiayu was overjoyed. His sweetheart was actually being so nice to him, and she wanted to treat him to a meal. This was the first time his sweetheart had ever treated him to a meal. Amidst the pleasant surprise, a sense of foreboding rose in his heart. Why did his sweetheart want to treat him to a meal? Did she need money? Wasn't that something she could just ask for? Could it be related to that kid, Wei Bai? Did she want him to stop giving Wei Bai a hard time? As he thought about it, a pang of jealousy shot through Xie Jiayu's heart. Just then, Wei Bai politely called out, Uncle. Xie Jiayu nodded at Wei Bai, acknowledging him, then turned his gaze back to Xian Yuman. Dad drove, Xie Jiayu said with a smile. Where are we eating? Xian Yuman. Bun 33. Of course, Xie Jiayu had no opinion on what to eat. As long as his sweetheart was treating, even stinky tofu would be fragrant and delicious. If only my sweetheart had invited me alone, without bringing Wei Bai, Xie Jiayu thought. The three of them walked towards the Mercedes. Wei Bai had intended to offer to drive, but considering that some people don't like others driving their car, he changed his mind and headed for the back seat with Xian Yuman. Xie Jiayu glanced at him in a rearview mirror, thinking to himself, this kid isn't nervous around me at all. He looks quite at ease. That Lingxi of yours, Xie Jiayu said as the Mercedes made a turn, is doing quite well. Wei Bai paused for a moment before realizing Xie Jiayu was talking to him. Yes, Wei Bai said with a smile, my teammates are great, and I've been lucky. Xie Jiyu's tone grew serious. Luck can get you through once, but it won't last a lifetime. Right now, many eyes are on this prize, and many people want to poach Jiang Xiang, Xie Jiayu said coolly. You still have plenty of internal and external risks to face. Wei Bai hadn't expected Xie Jiayu to say these things to him. After a pause, he said earnestly, Lingxi's patent is under the company's name. Jiang Xiang had applied for the patent before Lingxi was fully developed, registering it under the company's name. He wasn't even in college at the time. This was one of the reasons Wei Bai had always respected Jiang Xiang so much. He was a truly selfless idealist, someone who genuinely saw the company as his life. It's not Jiang Xiang's personal patent. That was something Xie Jiayu hadn't expected. But for this kid Wei Bai to have such a ready answer after his words, it showed that although the kid was young, he had a very clear head on his shoulders. Xie Jiayu said no more, but his estimation of Wei Bai rose another notch. He had to admit, the kid was indeed impressive. But as a son-in-law, in Xie Jiayu's heart, no one in the world was good enough for his precious girl. Bund 33. The three of them took their seats in a private room. Xian Yuman started ordering, first choosing a dish that Wei Bai loved, and then another dish that Wei Bai loved. When Xie Jiayu heard Xian Yuman order the drunken roe crab, he was ecstatic. Sweetheart, you still remember that daddy likes Huadiao red roe crab? Xian Yuman looked up, blinked, and said, Bai Bai likes it. Bye. Bye. Xie Jiayu glared at Wei Bai. Wei Bai gave an embarrassed smile. Oh man, what could he say to that? It's better to say nothing at all, lest he stir up more resentment. After the food was ordered, Wei Bai poured tea for Xie Jiayu. Xie Jiayu felt a bit better. The kid is smart enough to know he should be buttering me up. Lowering his head slightly to pick up his teacup, Xie Jiayu's eyes fell on Wei Bai's left middle finger. A ring? Immediately, he looked over at Xian Yuman, and sure enough, there was also a ring on her left middle finger. They're already wearing couple rings. Did they get parental consent? The sight of the couple rings suddenly made Xie Jiayu consider other possibilities. His expression changed, and he asked, Wei Bai, where do you live in Haicheng? Wei Bai was a bit stunned. An instant later, a giant exclamation mark appeared in his mind. Mr. Xie doesn't know that I'm living with classmates Xie? This. It was rare for Wei Bai to not know how to handle a situation. If he told the truth, he was afraid he'd get beaten up. But if he didn't, it didn't seem like there was any point in hiding it. After a few seconds of silence, Xian Yuman looked at Xie Jiayu in confusion. He lives with me, of course. Is there a problem? Is there a problem? Xie Jiayu's heart shattered into a million pieces. He was in such a panic that he wanted to pull out a cigarette to suppress the complicated feeling in his heart. But then he remembered that Siem Yumin hated the smell of smoke, and his movement froze. The Siem Yumin before him seemed just like the little girl she used to be, her voice still tinged with the lisp of a baby. How did she suddenly grow up? When she grows up, she becomes a flower in another man's hand. For a long while, Xie Jiayu said nothing. It wasn't until the dishes were gradually served that Xie Jiayu recovered. Living together is good. Only by living together can you test a man's true character, be happy while dating, and if it doesn't work out, just break up. Thinking this, Xie Jiayu felt much better. He began to ignore the topic and chatted with the two about interesting things. Siem Yumin wasn't very interested in his novel anecdotes, but Wei Bai, on the other hand, didn't let his words fall flat. Xie Jiayu couldn't find any fault, and for a moment, he couldn't tell if he was happy or sad. After finishing a drunken crab, Siem Yumin slowly wiped her hands with a wet wipe. She raised her eyes and looked at Xie Jiayu. Do you have plans for the October holiday? Xie Jiayu was stunned. An intense joy erupted in his eyes. This was the first time in his memory that his darling had cared about his schedule. And she was asking about the October holiday. Could it be that his darling wanted to go on vacation with him? Excellent. He could cancel all other appointments for his darling. No, I have plenty of time, Xie Jiayu said hurriedly. Siem Yumin nodded slowly. That's good. I'm getting engaged on October 3rd. Xie Jiayu thought he had misheard. Then, he thought he was having a nightmare. Finally, he concluded that there must be some misunderstanding. For example, Siem Yumin didn't say, I'm getting engaged, but I'm attending so-and-so's engagement. Or perhaps there was a word that sounded similar to engagement, but had a completely different meaning. In short, it couldn't possibly be his darling getting engaged. This sounded absolutely preposterous. On October 3rd, I am getting engaged away by. Xie Jiayu's suspended heart finally died. Man, Xie Jiyu's expression turned serious. Engagement isn't something you two can just decide on. It requires. Siem Yumin interrupted him. I know. It requires the consent of both sets of parents. They have agreed and approved. Agreed and approved? Who is they him? How did he not know about this? Presumably, Yue didn't know either. It was impossible for Yue to agree to such a ridiculous thing. Your mother would never. Xie Jiayu struggled. My mother was the one who proposed it. At this moment, Siem Yumin was happy to call Ms. Yue mother, her tone even carrying a hint of intimacy. A buzz went through Xie Jiayu's head. His dead heart was now dismembered. That's right. Lingxi was facing a vast blue ocean with unimaginable potential and profit. Wei Bai was now a prime piece of meat, coveted by countless envious eyes. Faced with such interests, how could Yue not be anxious to tie him down? This absurd matter, upon careful consideration, suddenly became so reasonable. This matter, even the elders of the CF family, who always loved to contradict Yue, would probably be happy to see it happen. A wave of bitterness washed over Xie Jiayu. Drawing his sword and looking around, all were enemies. His heart was lost. He recalled last year at Siem Yumin's 18th birthday banquet when she appeared with Wei Bai. At that time, he thought they were just dating. But now, without his knowledge, things had already developed to such an irreversible point. Was Siem Yumin asking for his consent? No, she was informing him. And could he object? On what grounds could he object? What right did he have to object? Xie Jiayu mumbled an acknowledgement. Got it. The drunken crab in his hand was tasteless. This meal was very dull. After dinner, Xie Jiayu drove the two back, refused Wei Bai's invitation to come home for tea, and turned the car towards the highway entrance. He was going back to the capital to find Yue. Such a huge matter as Siem Yumin's engagement, and Yue had made the decision on her own without even discussing it with him. What did Yue take him, Xie Jiayu, for? Thin air. He was the child's father, for crying out loud. The largest shareholder of the Xie Corporation. As the car was about to reach the highway entrance, an overseas call came in. Xie Jiayu saw the caller, ID Dyer Honey, tap the earpiece hanging on his right ear, and answer the call. Honey, when will you be back? An enthusiastic female voice came from the phone. Switzerland in August is absolutely stunning. I want to stand with you in the Jungfrau region, gazing down at the Aletsch Glacier and look up at the Matterhorn in Zermatt. Xie stared at the highway entrance ahead, silent for a few seconds before smiling. Perhaps in a day or two. After hanging up, the smile remained on his face as he clenched his fist and slammed it heavily onto the steering wheel. The Maybach made a U-turn and headed back to the hotel. I left the car at the Ruehua, Xie said, his phone on speaker after a cold shower. I'm leaving tomorrow morning. There was no point in returning to Beijing. It would only lead to another argument with Yue, ending on bad terms as always. He had created this situation himself. He had no choice but to swallow the bitter fruit. A lazy voice came from the other end of the line. So early? Not going to spend a few more days with your daughter? Xie chuckled. There's no point, right? Of course. Haiqing isn't as interesting as glaciers, giant peaks, grasslands, or islands, Song Lijia laughed. And the women in Haiqing are boring, not to your taste. Xie ignored the comment, paused, and then asked, Am I a particularly terrible bastard? Well now, Song Lijia sounded genuinely shocked. Do you even need to ask? Your reputation as a bastard is legendary. How many of the younger generation in the capital look up to you as their idol? Fuck, Xie cursed, tossing the towel he'd used to dry his hair onto the sofa. Let's be serious. My daughter is set on Wei Bai. Why are you telling me this? Song Lijia chuckled. My niece's relationship is all over the internet. You think I haven't heard? Speaking of which, I've already had a run-in with my niece, Song Lijia sighed. She's fiercely protective of Wei Bai. Forced me to banish my own brother to Africa. Get lost, Xie sneered. Isn't that exactly what you wanted? I warned you. All of you. Don't even think about touching Lingxi. You can't be serious, Song Lijia said with exaggeration. Lingxi will have a Series B funding round eventually, right? I can't even have a sip of the soup. Are you guys the type to just sip soup? You're the kind that devours people, bones and all. Xie took a bottle of red wine from the fridge, aiming the corkscrew at the cork. Wei Bai is young, inexperienced, not ruthless enough. But you know what Yue is like, her methods, don't you? Song Lijia's playful tone vanished. Second brother, are you saying the CF family plans to swallow this whole pie by yourselves? With a pop, the cork came out of the bottle, releasing a fragrance of berries and flowers. Swallow what? The dark red liquid flowed down the side of the glass, slowly pooling at the bottom. Xie tone was calm. We're all one family. Song Lijia was silent for a few seconds, then asked, What do you mean? His daughter is dating the guy. And, just like that, he's treating Lingxi as the CF family's property? Would Wei Bai agree? Would Lingxi agree? Exactly what it sounds like, Xie said irritably. Just wait for the wedding invitation. This time, Song Lijia was truly silent. Second brother, you're still the most ruthless one. He himself had tied down Yue through marriage, gradually steering the old ship of the CF family to shore and through its transformation. Now he was using the same trick again, aiming to tie down Wei Bai and swallow an entire blue ocean market, not even leaving them the bones. Come to think of it, Wei Bai and Yue were from the same small town, Lucheng. Damn, there must be something strange about that place. Song Lijia considered whether he should send his son to Lucheng to see if he could also snag a business prodigy. The next morning, Xie left Haicheng, his newly minted place of sorrow. When Siem Yuman received the news of his departure, she replied only with a smiley face emoji before switching back to her chat with Wei Bai. Classmate Xie, I'm up. Getting ready for dance class. Little turtle. Okay, I just got a Lingxi. Work, study, exercise, hobbies. The two were incredibly busy. To be precise, Wei Bai was incredibly busy. He had to arrange many company matters before the school year began to make things easier for himself later on. Time flies when you're busy. In the blink of an eye, it was the end of August. Before the semester started, Wei Bai and Siem Yuman went to Yunqing for a 3-day trip, then returned to Lucheng for a good 2-day rest. Towels, 4-piece bedding set, electric toothbrush, underwear. The second year at Haiqing University started on September 7th, which was tomorrow. Wu Ruxin was packing her son's luggage. Wei Bai woke up from his nap to see Ms. Wu holding a pair of underpants, his suitcase open in front of her. He sprinted over. My dear Ms. Wu, I can pack it myself. Wu Ruxin feigned sadness. My son's all grown up. He doesn't need his mom anymore. Wei Bai, I'm already 20. Aren't these underpants a bit unsuitable for me? He didn't own any crayon Shin-chan underwear. It was obvious Ms. Wu had just bought them for him. Wu Ruxin, what's wrong with 20? Your dad is over 40 and still wears the piggy pattern ones. Wei Bai. Old Wei really has it tough. Never mind, crayon Shin-chan it is. As long as Ms. Wu is happy. Hopefully, classmate Xia won't laugh at him when he sees them. Your dad won't be going tomorrow. Your aunt's driver will take you, Wu Ruxin said. Your dad and I are preparing to go to the capital. We're going on the ATH. Going to the capital for work? Wei Bai asked casually. Wu Ruxin smiled radiantly. To meet the in-laws in the capital. It was only then that Wei Bai reacted. Right, he and classmate Xia were getting married in October, and their families hadn't even met yet. Is Aunt going with you? Wei Bai asked. Of course, Wu Ruxin was quite composed. You don't need to worry about this matter. I could guarantee it will go smoothly. Wei Bai nodded. That's true. How wonderful. The common trope in novels and TV shows of families trying to break up a couple never happened. With the blessings of both sets of parents, he and classmate Xia were actually about to get engaged. As he thought about it, a grin couldn't help but spread across Wei Bai's face. Seeing him like this, Wu Ruxin was also happy in her heart. The little rascal. He was as mischievous as a monkey when he was little, but he grew up to be steady and didn't cause his parents any worry. At only 20 years old, he had already grasped both career and love. Eat a little less and exercise more recently. Wu Ruxin suddenly remembered something very important and instructed, the formal where we ordered for you is based on your current size. If you get fat, you won't be able to fit into it. Wei Bai was shocked. Have I gained weight these past few days? Ms. Wu's cooking was just too delicious. He ate 2 or 3 bowls of rice at every meal. I can't tell, Wu Ruxin smiled. Just giving you a heads up. Wei Bai was relieved. He had inherited the excellent genes of Old Wei and Ms. Wu and didn't have a constitution prone to gaining weight. He had never been fat since he was little. Besides, he usually ran and played ball, so his activity level was quite high. Even if he ate a lot, it would all be burned off. However, with Ms. Wu's reminder, he did indeed give himself a mental note. He had to maintain his figure when he reached 30 or 40. Otherwise, how mismatched would he look standing next to classmate Xia? After packing Wei Bai's luggage, Wu Ruxin went downstairs to buy groceries. For the last dinner before her child went back to school, they definitely had to eat well. She planned to stew an authentic iron pot of braised pork ribs, which Wei Bai loved, accompanied by 2 or 3 small dishes and 2 grain rice. The residents in the community were all quite friendly. They would greet her from a distance when they saw her, without disturbing her too much. This was also the reason why Wu Ruxin hadn't moved. She had become a celebrity and was constantly asked for photos and autographs outside. In contrast, she could enjoy a sense of freedom when she returned to Lucheng. Sister Wu, what are you buying? How much for the spare ribs? The premium ones are 28. The ones with the large bone are 22. I'll take the premium ones, this piece here. Cut it into small sections for me. No problem. After buying oil beans, potatoes, and the pork ribs, Wu Ruxin walked out of the supermarket with her groceries. As soon as she stepped out of the supermarket, she ran into Sun Wenli. Wu Ruxin was a little surprised. After not seeing her for a few months, how had Sun Wenli become so haggard? Could it be that her daughter was causing some kind of trouble again? Thinking that Suya used to be a very outstanding child, Wu Ruxin felt a little sad. Fortunately, she was still young. Even if she made a mistake and went down the wrong path, there was always time to turn back, right? Sun Wenli saw Wu Ruxin from afar. She looked young, dressed fashionably and beautifully, with a smug look on her face. Yes, with Wei Bai being so successful, how could Wu Ruxin not be smug? Just over a year ago, her Suyu was just like Wei Bai, a child who was praised by everyone. And now, the moment Sun Wenli thought of Suya's current state, she felt both angry and heartbroken. School had been in session for several days, but she refused to go and register. She locked herself in her room, listless day after day. Wasn't it just that she was deceived and did some group broadcast for a few days? Going to college in another city. Who would know about this? Was it really necessary to not even dare to leave the house? Looking at Wu Ruxin's spirited appearance, Sun Wenli couldn't stop the resentment in her heart. She turned her back on old friends just because she found a rich daughter-in-law. Suya wanted to be a star? If Wei Bai and Wu Ruxin had been willing to help, how could Suya have been tricked into doing some live streaming? So many years of friendship, and they weren't even willing to lend a helping hand. Those who step on the low and praise the high will have their day of reckoning sooner or later. Watching Wu Ruxin swagger away, Sun Wenli finally walked into the supermarket. There were many familiar faces in the supermarket, but Sun Wenli kept her head down, not greeting anyone. She knew that those people were all laughing at her family behind their backs, but she was an education expert. She understood education better than any of them. Life was still long, and her Suya would make a comeback sooner or later. This summer vacation was a nightmare for Suya. She wanted to be a star, and she felt she deserved to be admired by thousands. She wanted to beg Wei Bo. She knew she had done many things wrong in the past, and she admitted her mistakes, but Wei Bo was still so cold to her. When she had nowhere else to turn, she saw a girl group recruitment ad online. She went, and the company took a liking to her at first sight. They did her makeup, styled her hair, dressed her in beautiful clothes, and even taught her how to dance. At that time, she thought she was getting closer to her dream, and she was so happy. Later, she started live streaming her dancing. People in the live stream chat called her Little Master, Goddess, and Baby, praising her for being pure, beautiful, having a good figure, and dancing well. She once again experienced the joy of being noticed, admired, and praised. But what she didn't expect was, after the broadcast, the company actually asked her to send messages and voice notes to those fans. The content of the message templates was simply unbearable to look at. She was a goddess admired by everyone. How could she be like that kind of woman? You're already doing group broadcasts, and you're still acting all high and mighty. We created a pure image for you. Do you really think you're that pure? If you don't maintain a relationship with the big brothers, why should they send you gifts? You don't really think you're here to be a star, do you? She refused to do that disgusting maintenance, and the operator pointed at her nose and cursed, spittle flying everywhere. Looking at the operator's filthy and disgusting face, Suya finally understood that this company wasn't about creating a girl group at all. They had tricked her. She ran out of the live streaming room with tears streaming down her face and ran into her teammates, who were gathered together smoking. Before, she had been immersed in the joy of being in a girl group and hadn't thought about it carefully. Looking at them again now, these teammates smoked, swore, and sat with their legs spread apart, their vulgar appearance. They were just a bunch of low-class girls. She used to look down on this type of girl the most, and now she was teammates with them. This was simply a nightmare. Suya ran past the crowd, crying, but the sound of their discussion followed her and refused to disappear. Fuck, we're all women who've been with Brother Xian, but she's the only one pretending. Acting all high and mighty. Who knows what she's really like behind the scenes? Stealing my big brother and still acting like a white lotus. I'll deal with her sooner or later. Those words were more piercing than the last, like slaps across Suya's face. What was she like behind the scenes? She was clearly a good girl. And Zhenhong Xian. Hearing this name, Suya's heart ached with regret. Zhenhong Xian. He had deceived her. He made her believe they were in true love, causing her to hurt Wei Bo time and time again, making her lose everything she should have had. She should have been Wei Bo's girlfriend. Wei Bo would have written songs for her, cherished her, and made her a star. All the netizens would have liked her, envied her, and been jealous of her. She would have stood in the center of the stage, like a true goddess. But now, she had nothing. Those vicious people even wanted to force her to become that kind of woman. She had received a strict education since she was a child. How could she be so shameless? Hello, Mom. I know I was wrong. I want to terminate the contract with this company. Suya called Sun Wenli, her face covered in tears. Fortunately, in a small city, there were acquaintances everywhere. Sun Wenli found some connections and spent tens of thousands of yuan to bail Suya out. Her requirements for Suya were not so high anymore. She would be content as long as she could go to a university and live a peaceful life. However, somehow, videos of Suya's live stream dancing began to circulate among her classmates. Someone even sent the video to Suya in a private message, offering her a red envelope and saying they were willing to be her big brother. From then on, Suya was like she had been after failing the college entrance exam last year, locking herself in her room and refusing to go out. Sun Wenli talked until she was blue in the face, trying to persuade Suya to go to school. If she went to university in another city, people would naturally stop talking about these things. Carrying the groceries, son Winley returned home. Looking at the closed bedroom door and thinking about Wu Ruxin, whom she had just met, resentment welled up in her heart again. If anything really happened to Suya, she would not let Wu Ruxin's family off the hook. Everywhere, both around her and online, was news about Weibo. Weibo had become a new tech magnate that the entire nation of Daxia was paying attention to. Many famous CEOs and big shots interacted with Weibo on Weibo. Weibo was called the strongest university student. Photos, videos, and interviews of Weibo were everywhere. Weibo officially announced his relationship with Simp on Weibo. The renowned and wealthy CF family publicly reposted Weibo and Sim's Weibo posts, even referring to Simp as their young lady. Netizens believed Weibo and Simp were a match made in heaven, flooding them with wishes for a long and happy life together. Students from High University revealed that Weibo and Simm's relationship was incredibly strong, and they were very down-to-earth. You could run into them in the school cafeteria, classrooms, the gym, or the library. An insider from the Xie Corporation disclosed that the family was planning the most luxurious engagement banquet in a century. Weibo and Simp were about to be engaged. The phone screen was so small, yet there was so much news about Weibo. The more Suya read, the more tears streamed down her face. All that love, attention, and glory should have been hers to share with Weibo. She should have been the one called the boss's wife, the one praised for having the foresight to recognize a hidden gem. Only now did she truly understand what she had lost. She had paid a heavy price for her foolishness and willfulness. She knew she was wrong. She really, truly knew she was wrong, but Weibo would never pay her any mind again. How she wished she could go back to the past, back to her second and third years of high school, when she was the most dazzling girl at No. 1 High, Weibo's best friend, the one who possessed all of his attention and love. She would never again pay attention to someone like Zhen Hongxian, who had nothing, never again break Weibo's heart, and never let a calculating girl like Simp take advantage of the situation. Tears dripped, splatting onto her phone. If only everything could start over. But there was no medicine for regret in this world, and certainly no time machine. It wasn't like she had committed some unforgivable sin. So why was heaven punishing her like this? Hadn't she suffered enough deception, manipulation, and torment? She could only hate how foolish and naive she had been, believing whatever anyone told her. Weibo, Weibo, Weibo. Suya gradually fell asleep. In her dream, she returned to the day she and Weibo had their falling out. It was winter. She was wearing a white overcoat and a blue scarf. Weibo had waited in a long line to buy her a limited edition strawberry bear cake. That day, she learned that the list for High University's school recommendations had been released. There were 5 spots. She and Weibo were on the list, but Zhen Hongxian was not. She was disappointed, so she wanted Weibo to voluntarily withdraw, so that the spot would then go to Zhen Hongxian. She thought it was a trivial request. Because Weibo was so outstanding, he could get into High University even without the recommendation. She thought Weibo would agree without hesitation. She thought it was just an ordinary day in her and Weibo's life. But from that day on, everything changed. Suya had thought she'd forgotten the details. But in the dream, everything was so clear. She had returned to that day. In the dream, she took the cake, about to make that unreasonable demand. No, don't say it. If you say it, you will lose Weibo forever. With her eyes closed, tears streamed down her cheeks. Suya felt herself helplessly utter the words. Your grades have always been excellent. You can get into High University just by performing as you normally do. This recommendation spot is optional for you, right? The Weibo in front of her seemed stunned. He paused, then nodded. Okay. He agreed. He actually agreed. Shua. Suya's eyes flew open. It was a dream. Just a dream. Her tears wouldn't stop flowing. Even if it was a dream, why couldn't it have lasted a little longer? She desperately wanted to know what would have happened that day if Weibo had agreed to her request. Would both she and Weibo have gotten into High University smoothly? After starting university, would she have realized who truly loved her? She and Weibo would have become a couple envied by all, right? Weibo would have become as successful as he is now, and she would have become a big star. If only Wei Bai had indulged her just one more time back then and agreed to that request. Her life would have been completely different, wouldn't it? September 7th. Wei Bai started his sophomore year of university. By this time, the freshmen had already finished registration and started their military training, so the campus wasn't crowded. It was as calm as any other school day. Returning to the familiar campus with Miss Xie, Wei Bai was in a great mood. Time flies. We're already sophomores, Wei Bai remarked. Xiam Yuman looked at him, her small dimples appearing. Not fast enough. Wei Bai, huh? Whenever Miss Xie spoke like that, it meant there was a second half to her sentence. Sure enough, a few seconds later, he got the rest of it. Not fast enough, Xiam Yuman said softly. It's not October yet. Wei Bai. Although he was also eagerly anticipating their engagement, time had to pass one day at a time. Just one more month, he said with a smile. To be precise, less than a month. Xiam Yuman hummed in agreement. 26 days left. I hope these 26 days will be sensible and end quickly. As they spoke, the two walked across the campus. Over the past year, they had often walked side by side like this. Back then, Xiam Yuman already garnered a lot of attention, frequently receiving all sorts of gazes. But compared to now, it was child's play. Look, it's Wei Bo and Xiam Yuman. They really look so good together. Wow, can I go ask for a picture with them? An autograph will be fine too. I wonder if Lingxi is still hiring. I'm a biology major, a perfect fit for the job. With every group of people they passed, Wei Bo could hear their hushed discussions and see their eyes shining like light bulbs. There were even people they had never met before greeting them. Wei Bo, you're back. I watched Lingxi's live stream. Lingxi is great. You're awesome. The enthusiasm of the high university students was a bit overwhelming for Wei Bo. Fortunately, everyone was very well-mannered. At most, they would just say hello and exchange a few words, not disturbing them too much. Of course, it was also possible that the cold aura emanating from Miss Xie was too thick, making people afraid to bother them. The 15-minute walk from the East Gate to Building 2 was finally completed by the two of them. It'll be better after a while, Xiam Yuman said seriously at the bottom of the dormitory building. After a while, they will get used to it. Wei Bo thought so too. He might always receive attention, but he wouldn't always be gawked at like a panda in a zoo as he was now. It was just because today was the first day of school, and everyone was more excited. Yeah, Wei Bo nodded with a smile. Hurry up and go upstairs. The summer vacation was over. He and Miss Xie were back to the little routine of staying in the dorm during the week and going home on weekends. After watching Miss Xie return to her dorm, Wei Bo also pushed his suitcase and walked toward his own. Pan Kong and Ning Buqiao had returned on the 6th. Zhou Yan, like him, had arrived this morning. As soon as Wei Bo entered the dorm, he saw the three of them, each with a peach in hand, munching away happily. And on his desk, there was also a perfectly shaped and beautiful peach. Brought by Kong, Wei Bo put down his suitcase and went to wash his hands. I bought them, Zhou Yan said while crunching. The peaches Konger brought were delicious, so I bought some from the place of origin. Turns out the ones I bought are far worse than the ones Konger carried back himself. Zhou Yan continued to crunch. Pan Kong was also munching on a peach. The peaches I brought last time are grown by my second granduncle. Everything my second granduncle grows is delicious. Wei Bo washed his hands and sat down to eat his peach. As expected, it wasn't as delicious as the ones Pan Kong had hand-carried back to Haiqing during the vacation, but it was still pretty good. The whole dorm was filled with the sound of crunching as they talked about the novelties of their vacation. During the summer break, Lingxi's success and Wei Bo's sudden fame had made Pan Kong a little reserved at first. But after finishing a peach and chatting for a while, the atmosphere quickly returned to how it was before the break. Although Wei Bo had transformed into a successful person, he was still the same Wei Bo, and Zhou Yan was still the same Zhou Yan. Ning Buqiao, Pan Kong wiped his hands, feeling that the most unusual one was actually Ning Buqiao. He was even wearing something on his wrist, looking like white glass. Chower, Pan Kong asked, "What's it you're wearing on your hand?" Ning Buqiao raised his left wrist. "This," Zhou Yan quickly answered, "white crystal. This strand is quite clear." Ning Buqiao smiled shyly. "I bought it online. It's said to purify the magnetic field, enhance memory, and improve learning and work efficiency." Zhou Yin scoffed. No way. You believe in this stuff. Ning Buqiao smiled. It's just for peace of mind. Pan Kong, however, was interested. It looks like glass, but it's actually crystal. How much is a strand? Are there other colors? I'll buy one for Rong Rong. Ning Buqiao, I'll send you the link. Zhou Yin got excited. Then I'll buy one for my Union too. Wei Bo said with a straight face. Then I'll buy one for my Man too. Miss Xie sometimes wore crystals. Wei Bo had seen her wear aquamarine and red agate. The bright and clear colors looked very beautiful on Miss Xie's wrist. The four of them quickly shifted their conversation to crystals. But Wei Bo didn't plan to let Ning Buqiao off the hook. What made you think of wearing a crystal? Wei Bo asked with a smile. Ning Buqiao's eyes curved into a smile. During the summer vacation, it was Yun Xin's birthday. I gave her a strand of golden rutilated quartz and bought one for myself along the way. Golden rutilated quartz. It sounded like it was for attracting wealth. Chao's gift was definitely something Shui Yunxin would love. Ning Buqiao often mentioned Shui Yunxin, but the others in the dorm never thought much of it. Now, hearing Ning Buqiao say it was Shui Yunxin's birthday, Zhou Yin even asked, when was it? Yuan and I can get a belated birthday gift for our sister Yunxin. It's been half a month, Ning Buqiao said. Then never mind. Since it had been so long, it wouldn't be appropriate to give a belated gift. Zhou Yin dropped the idea and went back to choosing crystals. My Yuan will definitely like pink. Rose quartz, strawberry quartz. What? To attract romance? Absolutely not. Garnet is good. Garnet enhances the immune system. Tourmaline is nice, so colorful. Let's just buy them all. Zhou Yin ordered with a flourish. My Yuan looks good in everything. Wei Bo chose a tiger's eye and a green phantom quartz. What a coincidence. His classmate Xie looked good in everything too. When the autumn semester began, Shui Yunxin became a senior. While her classmates were busy with graduate school entrance exams and job hunting, she had already found her path and thrown herself into her work. However, with the semester starting on the 7th, she returned to school as well. Being a senior meant having almost no classes, not absolutely no classes. She still had 2 courses on Mondays and Wednesdays, which would run until December. Dressed in a blue striped shirt and a white pleated skirt picked out by CM Yuman, revealing long, slender, and strong-looking legs, paired with white sneakers and a blue baseball cap, Shui Yunxin entered the dormitory building. Thanks to her errand-running job, Shui Yunxin knew many people at school. Walking on campus, she would always run into a few people who would greet her. But today was completely different. She had made it all the way into the dorm building without anyone recognizing her. Shui Yunxin clicked her tongue twice, thinking to herself, I'm not even wearing makeup, just change my outfit, and no one recognizes me. Whatever. After a whole summer of adjustment, she had completely adapted to her new style of dress. As for whether her classmates could adapt, that was their business. Building 1 had 6 floors and no elevator. Shui Yunxin lived on the 4th floor and carried her suitcase upstairs with one hand. As she reached the 2nd floor, she happened to run into Ho Xinxin coming down. Shui Yunxin greeted her naturally. Hi. Ho Xinxin paused, her eyes shifting to Shui Yunxin's face before she exclaimed in surprise. Shui Yunxin? Shui Yunxin nodded, exchanged a few pleasantries, and continued up the stairs with her suitcase. Ho Xinxin stood on the landing, stunned for a long moment. Shui Yunxin, was she always this beautiful? Indeed, Shui Yunxin had always been pretty and delicate. Even when she didn't care about her appearance, people would say things like, she has such good features, she'd be stunning if she just dressed up a bit. It was just that Shui Yunxin usually dressed too casually. Her hair was a mess, and she worked as an errand runner, so it was easy for people to overlook her. Still reeling from the shock of their encounter, Ho Xinxin's heart skipped a beat. For some reason, she suddenly thought of Ning Buqiao, whom she had seen at the mall during the summer break, and the girl who was presumably his girlfriend. That girl had worn a yellow and white striped t-shirt and a denim baseball cap. It was a very boyish style, not quite like the look Shui Yunxin had just now. But her height, figure, and aura, plus Ning Buqiao's usual interactions with Shui Yunxin. Ho Xinxin was almost certain that it was Shui Yunxin. Ning Buqiao was actually with Shui Yunxin. Ho Xinxin went down to the 1st floor vending machine, bought 2 bottles of water, and returned to the 2nd floor. In the dorm room, Song Lizi was tidying up. Ho Xin handed her one of the drinks. "Cici," Ho Xin said, sitting on Song Lizi's stool. "I just ran into Shui Yunxin. She was dressed so beautifully. She looked like a different person." "Shui Yunxin?" Song Lizi didn't think much of it. "She's a senior now. It's about time she started dressing up. Otherwise it'll be hard to find a job, right? Isn't she Chun Mao's manager?" Ho Xin said. "She probably doesn't need to look for a job, does she?" Song Lizi, holding a big grudge against Wei Bo, pursed her lips and said, "Someone with a junior college degree could do that kind of job. A graduate from high university will definitely need to find a more respectable position. I bet Shui Yunxin will have to find a new job." Ho Xin didn't want to dwell on the topic of job hunting. She wanted to talk about something else. "Don't you think Ning Buqiao and Shui Yunxin's relationship is a bit strange?" "I've thought so for a long time," Song Lizi said resentfully. She knows perfectly well he likes someone else, yet she still gets so close to him. She has no sense of boundaries at all. Ho Xin steeled herself and said directly, "Ning Buqiao said he doesn't like you anymore." Song Lizi continued packing her clothes as if she hadn't heard. "He was just saying that because he was angry. You know better than anyone how much he likes me. How could a love that deep just disappear? But love is like that. It can appear suddenly and disappear just as suddenly," Ho Xin said. "You wouldn't say that if you'd experienced a love that was childhood sweethearts, etched into your bones." Song Lizi stood up and twisted open her drink, taking a sip. Xin, what are you really trying to say?" Song Lizi had actually admitted her feelings for Ning Buqiao were love. Ho Xin was shocked, but mostly felt it was a pity. Unfortunately, this admission came too late. "I have to say," Ho Xin said seriously, looking at Song Liusi, "I saw Ning Buqiao and Shui Yunxin at Boda over the summer break." Song Liusi's expression changed instantly. "I knew it. Shui Yunxin has no sense of boundaries." Ho Xin took a deep breath and continued. "They were wearing matching outfits." "Impossible," Song Liusi denied immediately. "You must have seen wrong. I saw them very clearly," Ho Xin said earnestly. "Did Ning Buqiao contact you at all during the entire summer break? If he still liked you, how could he stand not contacting you for a whole summer?" "Cici, stop deceiving yourself." "I'm not." Song Liusi's voice suddenly became sharp. "You don't understand at all." After a moment of silence, Ho Xin said, "I only believe what I saw." "Is what you see necessarily the truth?" Song Liusi's voice trembled. "There's no way Ning Buqiao could like anyone other than me." Ho Xin was gradually losing patience. "As long as you can convince yourself." Just as their conversation was about to escalate into an argument, their other two roommates returned. "Big news! Big news!" one of them said excitedly. "I was scrolling through the school's online forum while getting food just now. Someone posted a photo of a girl, asking if she's a freshman and if anyone knows her. Everyone in the comments is calling her department bell material. I took a closer look, and isn't that Shui Yunxin? Oh my god, I never realized Shui Yunxin could look so pretty all dressed up, and I just noticed she has such a great figure. Her legs are so long and straight." The roommate chattered on excitedly, but the dorm room was completely silent. Sensing something was wrong, she asked, "What's up with you two? Did you have a fight?" Their dorm dynamic had always been good, but they had naturally split into two pairs. Song Liusi and Ho Xin were one pair. The two had been close since they first enrolled as freshmen, and after 3 years, their bond was even deeper. She couldn't recall ever seeing the two of them fight. What was going on? Facing her roommate's question, Song Liusi said nothing. She silently picked up her phone and opened the school's forum. Soon, she found the post. The girl in the post was wearing a baseball cap and a pleated skirt, pushing a suitcase. On her left hand, the one pushing the suitcase was a gold crystal bracelet. Plop! A tear fell from Song Liusi's eye. She had seen that gold crystal bracelet before, in a post on Ning Buqiao's social media. That post had shown only 2 bracelets. One gold, one white. Song Liusi had thought they were for her. That when school started, Ning Buqiao would bring them to her and beg for her forgiveness. But now, that bracelet was on another girl's wrist. Ning Buqiao. He actually fell for another girl. And that girl was Shui Yunxin, the kind of errand girl she had always looked down upon. Tears burst from her eyes as if a dam had broken, dripping onto her phone. Her roommates panicked. Cece, what's wrong? Yeah, why are you crying just from looking at Shui Yunxin's picture? Only Ho Xinxin guessed that Song Liusi had finally believed her. Go on and cry. Ho Xinxin sighed. You'll feel better after you let it all out. Who doesn't have a good cry after a breakup? Moreover, Song Liusi hadn't just lost someone who loved her, but a childhood sweetheart who had been completely devoted to her for over a decade. The more certain Song Liusi had once been of Ning Buichao's love, the more heartbroken she was now. The roommates were smart. Hearing what Ho Xinxin said, they suddenly understood. Damn, Ning Buichao cheated on her? Shui Yunxin is so shameless. She knew perfectly well that Ning Buichao and Cece were a couple and still forced her way in. Cece, there are plenty of guys who like you. There are others besides Ning Buichao. It's not a big deal. Exactly. Besides, it's not like you like Ning Buichao that much anyway, right? You were just moved by his devotion. Didn't like him that much. Didn't I like him that much? Song Liusi felt as if countless needles were pricking her heart, and her head felt heavy and ached as if it were stuffed with cotton. How could she not have liked him that much? They had grown up together. Ning Buichao was so good to her, so obedient to her every whim, willing to give her everything. She had it all planned out. After the summer break, she was going to accept Ning Buichao. They would shoot and edit videos together, start their own media company. How could she have not liked Ning Buichao that much? Her roommate's words of comfort sounded incredibly jarring to Song Liusi. She even felt that these roommates, with whom she usually got along so well, were all gloating at her misfortune now. Stop talking, she roared. This is all your fault. Saying that 99 confessions are needed to show how much he loves me. Are you all satisfied now? The two roommates looked at each other. No, this idea of 99 confessions wasn't theirs. It was Song Liusi's own proposal. Moreover, Ho Xinxin had tried to persuade her several times, but failed, so they couldn't be bothered to care. Weren't they just going along with Song Liusi's wishes? How did it become their fault now? The two roommates got angry and stopped trying to console her, each returning to her own spot. Only Ho Xinxin was still persuading her in a low voice. Forget it, Cece. Let the past be the past. In her opinion, Song Liusi had many shortcomings, but she wasn't a bad person. At least she was very good to her. Therefore, she was also very patient with Song Liusi. How can I get over it? Song Liusi realized that she had just spoken out of anger and said the wrong thing, murmuring through her tears. How can I possibly get over it? Ho Xinxin remembered that when Song Liusi first found out that her favorite male streamer was a scumbag, she had cried just as hard as she was now. But she forgot about it not long after, and life went on as usual. Now, the male streamer had been replaced by Ning Buichao. The feelings for being childhood sweethearts, the wound should take longer to heal. A month, if it's a month, it should be over by then, right? Ho Xinxin patiently coaxed Song Liusi. The other two roommates were sending private messages to each other. What's there to cry about? Isn't it her own doing? Exactly. She only knows regret now that she sees Ning Buichao has someone new. What was she doing before? Only Ho Xinxin has the patience to coax her. I get annoyed just hearing her tone. I've had enough of her. Simp is much better looking than her and isn't as dramatic. But Shui Yunxin is really beautiful now. I think she's better looking than Song Liusi. Shui Yunxin was already good looking to begin with and has a good figure, unlike Song Liusi, who only looks slightly pretty with makeup and dressing up. A lot of people fall for her act. Otherwise, how could she be the department beauty? TCH, it's just a nickname within her own major. Only she takes it seriously. In reality, there are many in the college who are prettier than her. I think you are better looking than her. Hee. A kind woman is the most beautiful. You're also better looking than her. Sometimes, it seems like everyone gets along well, but in reality, malice is already surging behind their backs. And sometimes, it seems like people are not very familiar with each other, but kindness is flowing. Yunxin, you've become so beautiful. What do you mean become? Yunxin has always been good looking. This style suits you very well. You should dress like this from now on. On the way back to the dormitory, Shui Yunxin received many kind compliments. Because of these compliments, she gradually became more comfortable with her own style of dress. She had originally thought that everyone would have a hard time accepting it, but in reality, everyone accepted it easily. Thinking about it carefully, who would have so many feelings about someone else's changes that they couldn't accept it? When Ning Buiqiao changed his style back then, wasn't she just a little surprised and then gladly accepted it? Why was she thinking about that kid Ning Buiqiao again? Probably because she had been working with Ning Buiqiao every day recently. They had become like sworn brothers. Now that the school year had started, Ning Buiqiao was busy with his classes and could probably only go to the company on weekends. She was about to lose her most compatible and best work partner, and the thought of it made her reluctant to part. Shui Yunxin. My sister sent me some of her homemade pickles. They're especially fragrant. I brought a jar for your dorm. Shall we meet at Cafeteria 1 tonight? Ning Buiqiao. Okay, let's have dinner together too. Shui Yunxin. Sounds good. Putting down his phone, Ning Buiqiao smiled and said to his roommates, I won't be eating with you guys tonight. Zhou Yin casually asked. Oh, who do you have a date with? Ning Buiqiao. I'm eating with Yunxin. She brought pickles for our dorm. Pickles? Zhou Yin was touched. Sister Yunxin still had their dorm in her heart. He took a nap, played on his phone for a while, and the afternoon passed. Ning Buiqiao went out, and Zhou Yin, with nothing to do, started scrolling through the school's online forum. Damn! Zhou Yin, who was lying on his side, suddenly sprang up from the bed. Isn't this Sister Yunxin? It really is Sister Yunxin? How did Sister Yunxin become like this? Brother Bai, you're not going to launch Sister Yunxin's career, are you? Wei Bai was replying to a work email and looked up upon hearing this. No. Shui Yunxin was going to be a high-level executive at Mu Chao. How could she debut as a celebrity? Zhou Yin just asked casually and continued to look at the photos on the forum seriously. He always felt that something was not quite right, but he had ignored it until he saw a photo where the angle was taken from Shui Yunxin's left hand pushing the suitcase. And on Shui Yunxin's left hand, she was wearing a golden crystal bracelet. Damn, Zhou Yin shouted. Shui Yunxin is wearing a gold rutilated quartz bracelet. Pan Kong scratched his head. What's wrong with that? Didn't Chower say he gave Sister Yunxin a gold rutilated quartz bracelet? I remember now. I remember everything. Zhou Yin was extremely agitated. Chower posted on his social media, 1 white crystal bracelet and 1 gold rutilated quartz one. So what? The more Pan Kong listened, the more confused he became. Isn't the white one on Chower's wrist? Chower was always posting during the summer break, and it was always a meal for 2. Zhou Yan's face flushed with excitement. Pan Kong nodded. The portions in Haicheng are too small. I'd have to eat a meal for 2 to get full too. You idiot, Zhou Yin shouted. It was the kind of meal for 2 with 2 bowls and 2 pairs of chopsticks. It dawned on Pan Kong. Chower's got something going on? Zhou Yin gave him a look and continued. Tell me, loud and clear, who does Chower have something going on with? Pan Kong. How would I know? Zhou Yin. Seriously, Kong. How did you even get a girlfriend? Pan Kong chuckled. Rong and I have a lot in common. Zhou Yin. Shui Yunxin. Zhou Yin roared. It's Shui Yunxin. Pan Kong was stunned. Chower and Shui Yunxin. Then, realization struck again. Yeah, that's right. It makes sense. Zhou Yin nodded repeatedly. He even kept it from us. Here, Wei Bai had to say something fair. He didn't keep it a secret, Wei Bai said with a smile. Didn't Chower often say he went out to eat with Sister Yunxin, or what Sister Yunxin bought for him, or what he bought for her? You all just never thought much of it. Zhou Yin turned to Wei Bai. You saw it all along. Wei Bai nodded. It's so obvious, it'd be hard not to see it, right? Zhou Yin was indignant. If I hadn't been so busy recently, I would have definitely seen it long ago. As the self-proclaimed little prince of love, he couldn't allow himself to lose in such a domain. Wei Bai agreed. You're right. This made Zhou Yin even more indignant. How far have they gone? They can't possibly be together already, can they? This, Wei Bai didn't know. But he felt they weren't. Because Ning Buiqiao didn't exude that unique sour stink of love. Wait, how could it be a sour stink? It's clearly a sweet fragrance. Ning Buiqiao waited for a few minutes on the second floor of the first cafeteria before Shui Yunxin arrived. She carried a thermal bag in her left hand and 2 cups of milk tea in her right. Ordered this on delivery, she said, placing the milk tea on the cafeteria table with a smile. These 2 cups, guess how much? Ning Guichao had ordered milk tea via delivery before and knew the subsidies were significant. 15, he guessed. So close. Shui Yunxin smiled. 16. 9. The milk tea at school wasn't very good. Shui Yunxin still preferred tea made with real milk like this. It's great to earn money. You can drink 8 yuan milk tea whenever you want, Shui Yunxin joked. I'm dreaming of the day I can casually buy an 80,000 yuan bag. Ning Guichao nodded earnestly. That day will come. What do you want to eat? Shui Yunxin, her mind having already jumped, switched the topic. Ning Guichao, I want to get some dishes. I'll have dishes too then. To celebrate the start of the semester, let's get 2 meat and 2 vegetable dishes. You go by first, Shui Yunxin said, pointing at her phone and the milk tea. I'll watch our things here. She had only learned after starting university that even at a top Dachau institution like High University, people would steal thermoses, electric scooter batteries, and even milk tea. It was only 5 o'clock, so the cafeteria was not crowded. The 2 of them bought their food quickly. Where else but at school can you buy cabbage for 1 yuan and braised pork for 3? 2 yuan. Shui Yunxin sighed. She hadn't felt much before the semester started. But now that she was officially a senior, she suddenly realized how much High University had given her. Clean and warm dormitories, cheap meals, friendly teachers and classmates, and even job opportunities like serving food in the cafeteria or running errands. Looking back, it was at High University that she had found a sense of security to survive and had gradually grown up. The braised pork is a bit salty today, Shui Yunxin said to Ning Guichao. Ning Guichao used a clean pair of chopsticks to split his pork chop in half, giving 1/2 to Shui Yunxin. The pork chop should be good. They often shared food, but this was the first time they had split a single pork chop in half like this. Shui Yunxin paused for a moment, then picked up the pork chop and took a bite, smiling. It's pretty salty too. You eat the braised pork. Okay. The corners of Ning Guichao's mouth turned up. The 2 chatted intermittently. The conversation wasn't dense, but there were no awkward silences. Have I ever told you about my sister? Shui Yunxin took a sip of jasmine green tea and said, My second oldest sister. She's 3 years older than me. She stopped studying after middle school and went to work in Guangxing. She paid for my high school tuition and living expenses and my first year of university tuition. Ning Guichao listened attentively. This was the first time he had heard Shui Yunxin talk about her family. She makes delicious pickled vegetables, Shui Yunxin said. I saved up some money this year and gave it all to my sister. She set up a stall in Guangxing to sell the pickled duck and vegetables from our hometown. Business is great. Now, as soon as she sets up, there's a crowd waiting. Ning Guichao was genuinely impressed. You and your sister are both amazing. I also have an older sister who married a long time ago, Shui Yunxin said. Her eldest son is only a full zodiac cycle younger than me. As she spoke, her tone became playful. With a setup of 3 daughters, logically, there should have been a younger brother. Too bad my parents couldn't have any more children after I was born. Ning Guichao knew that in some places, the preference for sons over daughters was severe. People wouldn't stop until they had a son, and the poorer they were, the more they insisted on having one. To be born into such a family and still grow up to be so radiant, Shui Yunxin must have had a tough time, right? Fortunately, she had sisters who loved her. Hey, are you pitying me? Shui Yunxin laughed. You don't have to. Both of my sisters are very good to me. In their small mountain village, people thought it was useless for girls to study. Her parents also wanted her to drop out of school early to work and support them. But her 2 sisters wouldn't allow it. One took on the burden of supporting their parents, and the other left to find work, also that she could continue her education. Shui Yunxin thought that while her childhood had been a bit hard, there was nothing to be pitied about, and she didn't like others pitying her. How could I? Ning Guichao said seriously, You're the most outstanding and resilient girl I've ever met. Unyielding to wind or rain, never complaining about her fate or others, always standing tall. Am I that amazing? Shui Yunxin laughed. But I do think I'm pretty amazing myself. But why was this guy suddenly speaking so seriously? It made her heart flutter. Chapter 545. Are you with Shui Yunxin? Shui Yunxin lowered her head and shoveled 2 mouthfuls of rice in her mouth, trying to hide her awkwardness. But anyone who has experienced awkwardness knows that sometimes the more you try to hide it, the thicker the strange atmosphere becomes. Shui Yunxin didn't know if Ning Buqiao felt this strange atmosphere as she did. These pork chops are really delicious. Huh, Shui Yunxin said. Damn it, what was she even saying? These pork chops were clearly salty as hell. Was she trying to change the subject to hide her awkwardness? But why was she awkward in the first place? What Ning Buqiao said wasn't wrong. She was indeed outstanding and resilient. After the meal, Shui Yunxin had to go back to the company, and Ning Buqiao headed to his dorm, carrying the pickled vegetables. Shui Yunxin had said they were a gift for his entire dorm, but he really wanted to keep them all for himself. For that, he was willing to eat pickled vegetables every day. Back at the dorm, his 3 dorm mates had bought their meals from the cafeteria and were eating. The reason for this was that Pan Kong had brought sausages from his hometown again, which were perfect to go with dinner. Ning Buqiao opened the insulated bag and took out a jar of pickled vegetables. Zhou Yin was overjoyed. Look at that color, it looks delicious. Ning Buqiao methodically took out a pair of disposable chopsticks and started portioning out the pickled vegetables for everyone. Yunxin said we should eat them quickly before they spoil. Zhou Yin pursed his lips and said sarcastically, Yunxin, not calling an older girl sister. You've got some wild ideas. Ning Buqiao paused for a moment, then smiled. She told me not to. Zhou Yin scoffed, then mixed the large helping of pickled vegetables Ning Buqiao had just given him with his rice. Holy crap, this is delicious. Shower, have you got what it takes? Can you win her over? Can these pickled vegetables become a permanent fixture in our dorm? Ning Buqiao said seriously, we can buy them ourselves. Zhou Yin, damn, are you already siding with an outsider? You even feel bad about us eating a little of Shui Yunxin's pickled vegetables? Ning Buqiao nodded in admission. Yeah. Zhou Yin feigned outrage. I raised you for nothing. Pan Kong watched their interaction with a chuckle, then took a bite of sausage, a bite of clay pot rice, and a bite of the pickled vegetables. The way these pickled vegetables were made was completely different from his hometown style. They looked reddish, but weren't actually very spicy, just very fragrant. It would be perfect with a freshly steamed bun, Pan Kong remarked. Zhou Yin, eat, that's all you know. Wei Bai also thought the pickled vegetables were especially delicious. Later, he would ask Shui Yunxin if they could be bought. He wanted to buy some for classmates Xia. The pickled vegetables added a lot of flavor to the dinner in dorm room 411. Ning Buqiao himself ate a lot of the pickled vegetables with plain rice. Then he put the lid back on the pickle jar and placed it securely on his own desk. Ooh. Zhou Yin started teasing again. Didn't Sister Yunxin say this was a gift for our whole dorm? How come it ended up on your desk? Ning Buqiao smiled. If you want some, you can come and get it yourself. Zhou Yin had a sharp tongue, but he wasn't one to cross the line with his actions. Not only did he not try to snatch the pickled vegetables, but he also suddenly changed the topic, asking about the situation between Ning Buqiao and Shui Yunxin. You're not going to do that 99 confessions thing again, are you? Zhou Yin exclaimed. If you ask me, you should just rip the Band-Aid off already. No, Ning Buqiao said after a moment's thought. I don't want to pressure her. He had never been in a relationship and wasn't particularly sensitive to the shifts in affection. He didn't know if Shui Yunxin liked him in a romantic way, which made him even more timid. If he made her feel pressured with her personality, wouldn't she just cut him off as a friend? He didn't want that. If that was the outcome, he would rather never say a word and just remain friends forever. Are you stupid? Zhou Yin slapped his thigh as he listened. Love is a game. How can you not put some pressure on her? Listen to me. Try this. First, start saying sweet things in a joking tone. Like, you're special to me, or you're the most special girl I've ever met. Can you say that? Ning Buqiao's eyes widened. He had just said something at dinner. You are the most outstanding and resilient girl. Would that sentence put pressure on Shui Yunxin? He thought her dazed look just now was because she was shy from the compliment. For a moment, Ning Buqiao was filled with regret. After Zhou Yan's reminder, he suddenly felt at a loss as to how to act around Shui Yunxin. Don't listen to him. Wei Bai couldn't take it anymore. Just keep doing what you've been doing. No game or tactic can beat genuine sincerity. Between Zhou Yin and Wei Bai, Ningbo Chao, of course, trusted Wei Bai more. Hearing him say that, his recently chaotic mind suddenly calmed down. Yeah, Ningbo Chao nodded. I'll do my best. Wei Bai. Wen Chao learned to relax a little and not be so tense. But Wei Bai didn't say more. Everyone has their own way of life. If he felt uncomfortable, he would adjust on his own. As a friend, it was enough to offer support and affirmation. Go for it, Wei Bai said with a smile. Just then, Ningbo Chao's phone rang. He glanced at the screen and hung up directly. However, the caller was persistent and dialed again. Ningbo Chao hung up again. He thought that if Song Liusi kept this up, he would have no choice but to block her. He hadn't wanted to do that because he didn't want to face the barrage of questions from her parents and his own. He hung up for the third time. Song Liusi didn't call back. Instead, she sent a text message. I'm downstairs at your dorm. If you don't come down to see me, I'll go find Shui Yunxin. Ningbo Chao immediately stood up. I'm going out for a bit. As he spoke, he rushed out the door without even changing his shoes, still in his slippers. Downstairs at the dormitory, he saw Song Liusi, sure enough, wearing a white dress. She had no makeup on. Her face was bare and looked haggard. Ningbo Chao walked up to her. Jia, what did you need me for? He wasn't angry about her repeated calls and threats. His tone was like that of someone speaking to an ordinary older sister from the neighborhood. So calm, so bland. At that moment, Song Liusi truly realized that it seemed they really couldn't go back. No, they could definitely go back. Ningbo Chao was too naive. He hadn't experienced pressure from family or the blows of society. He still didn't understand that his parents would never accept him being with a girl like Shui Yunxin. Chao, Song Liusi tried her best to control the grievance in her heart. Are you with Shui Yunxin now? No, but Ningbo Chao nodded. Yes. This was the first time he had lied to Song Liusi, and he believed it was a white lie. To hear something she had already guessed confirmed from his own lips was still so hurtful, so heartbreaking. Song Liusi suppressed her sadness and anger, but her tone was inevitably sharp. Do you know that Shui Yunxin is from the countryside? No, she's from a mountain village. The kind of remote place where you have to climb mountain roads just to go to school, where they couldn't even afford food when she was a child. And she has two older sisters, both completely uneducated. You could just imagine what her parents are like. Harshlands breed unruly people. You can't even imagine how awful and difficult those people can be. Oh, right? Shui Yunxin wasn't even her original name. She changed it after she got into university. Her original name was Shui Pundi. Looking at this version of Song Liusi, Ningbo Chao only felt a sense of unfamiliarity. He suddenly discovered that he didn't know this person at all. His past affection for her seemed more like a joke now. Everything you've just said, Ningbo Chao said earnestly, word by word, sounds to me like a compliment to Shui Yunxin. She had to climb mountain roads to go to school, but she climbed all the way to high university. Her original name was not good, but she didn't wallow in self-pity. Instead, she changed it herself. So, you came to me just to praise Shui Yunxin? What are you talking about? Has Shui Yunxin put a curse on you? You and her are not a good match at all. It's not too late for you to break up with her now. Otherwise, with her family background, she will definitely suck you dry. Ningbo Chao didn't want to say anything more. He was never one to argue. Don't go and bother Shui Yunxin, he said seriously. Song Liusi, don't be like this. It's undignified. As he spoke, he took out his phone and deleted her as a friend right in front of her. We are not friends anymore. As he said this, a sudden sadness welled up in his heart. A relationship that had lasted since childhood. Even if the affection was gone, a trace of attachment remained. He knew this attachment was perhaps not for Song Liusi, but for the dozen or so years of his own life that had passed. Only by bidding farewell to the past can one better welcome tomorrow. Ningbo Chao turned away and suddenly felt a sense of relief. Perhaps, for a relationship like his and Song Liusi's, it was right not to be friends. We are not friends anymore. It's undignified. Song Liusi had not expected this. After finally convincing herself not to act out of spite and to communicate properly with Ningbo Chao, this was the result she got. He actually called her undignified? He knew perfectly well that dignity was what she cared about the most. Since she was young, she had been strict with herself. Her academic grades, her athletic performance, her skin, her figure, even her posture when sitting and walking. From middle school and high school all the way to university, she had always been the campus belle, the flower of her department. She was the moon surrounded by stars, the center of everyone's attention. And what about Shui Yunxin? Her family background and her ways were so unimpressive. She was always drab and inconspicuous. Yet Ningbo Chao actually found her undignified, and instead thought Shui Yunxin was outstanding. To cast aside a pearl and insist on picking up a fisheye. That fish eye's clearly foul and stinky. Song Liusi wiped the tears from her face, her expression hardening. Then she would just wait and see. Wait for the day Ningbo Chao would be filled with regret. You were the one who gave up on me first, she murmured. With my qualifications, I should have had a boyfriend with much better qualifications than you to begin with. She had better grades, a better reputation, and was far more refined and beautiful than Shui Yunxin. She and Xiam Yumin were the ones in the same league. Then shouldn't she also have a boyfriend like Wei Bo? Her standards weren't even that high. Someone who treated her as well as the old Ningbo Chao did, and who either came from good family or was as capable as Wei Bo himself. I was blinded by love before, Song Liusi said resolutely as she turned away. I almost wasted my youth on an ordinary man. As for Ningbo Chao, he deserves to be with a woman like Shui Yunxin. Yunxin, are you in a relationship? On the first Friday after the semester started, Shui Yunxin's roommate asked her this. Shui Yunxin was surprised. No. Could it be that they guessed she was dating just because she'd been dressing up lately? Surely not. I heard it from someone in the School of Management, her roommate said. They said you're together with that guy who confessed to Song Liusi 99 times that. What's his name? Shui Yunxin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. No way. We're just on pretty good terms. His name is Ningbo Chao, and besides, he stopped liking Song Liusi a long time ago. The roommate had just been asking casually, but when she heard this, she suddenly stopped playing her matching game. Yunxin, you just said besides. Shui Yunxin, huh? What's wrong with besides? Roommate, if there was nothing going on between you and that Ningbo Chao, why would you explain on his behalf that he doesn't like Song Liusi anymore? Shui Yunxin found this baffling. It was her roommate who brought up the 99 confessions first. She had only clarified it offhandedly. What was the problem with that? But for some reason, her heart suddenly started to beat a little faster. It felt a bit like a guilty conscience. Strange. Why should she feel guilty? The conversation just now was perfectly normal. Who in the School of Management told you? Shui Yunxin changed the subject. You don't know him. He heard it from someone else too. After all, you, Song Liusi, and that Ningbo Chao are all pretty famous, her roommate said. It'd be strange if gossip like this didn't spread. This isn't gossip, is it? Shui Yunxin retorted. It's a baseless rumor. Her roommate rolled her eyes. Classmate Shui Yunxin, judging by your performance just now, this is far from a baseless rumor. You like Ningbo Chao, the roommate said with certainty. Even if you two aren't dating yet, you like Ningbo Chao. It was over. Her roommate, who was into tarot cards, astrology, MBTI, and the I Ching, must have picked up some new skill, and it was highly likely to be some crooked way. Otherwise, why would a single sentence make her heart race and her breathing falter? Maybe she was sick, flu or fever, or perhaps gastroenteritis. The bullfrog hot pot she had with Ningbo Chao last night was quite spicy. How could I like Ningbo Chao? Shui Yunxin said subconsciously. We're just friends. Which couple doesn't start out as friends? Her roommate looked at her wrist, suddenly remembering something. I remember this was Ningbo Chao's birthday gift to you, right? You have several crystal bracelets. Why do you wear this golden rutilated quartz every day? Shui Yunxin, this one, attracts wealth. Doesn't citron attract wealth? Doesn't green phantom quartz attract wealth? Her roommate counted on her fingers. We bought that green phantom quartz together back then, and you said it lived up to its reputation for attracting benefactors. You met Wei Bai when you were wearing it. Shui Yunxin pulled open a drawer, took out the green phantom quartz from a small box, and put on her left wrist. Is it okay if I wear them both? Her roommate, Shui Yunxin, Shui Yunxin, is this about which crystal to wear? Foolish child, your heart is in turmoil. That night, Shui Yunxin tossed and turned, unable to sleep. She liked Ningbo Chao. Her heart was in turmoil. Damn her roommate. Even if her heart was in turmoil, it was all her roommate's fault. Couldn't this person stop researching all that useless stuff? She even feared that one day, this close college roommate of hers would suddenly declare herself a shaman. No, was she getting sidetracked? Why was she thinking about these things? What was she originally thinking about? Oh, her inquiry into whether she liked Ningbo Chao. First, what is liking? According to online definitions, liking is an internal feeling of concern and pleasure towards a person or thing. Specifically, it manifests as follows: actively paying attention to and understanding the other person's activities and mood. Feeling happy and relaxed when spending time with the other person. Being happy because of a word or a small gift from the other person. Being willing to give to the other person, sharing one's daily life. Caring about what the other person thinks of you. Hoping your image in their eyes is better. Done. All true. Shui Yunxin turned over. Online definitions might not apply to everyone. She needed to go through it according to her own logic. 1. Before Ningbo Chao, did she have any male friends with whom she had such pleasant, comfortable, and intimate interactions? Answer: no. 2. If Ningbo Chao still liked Song Liuxi, would she feel calm? Answer: no, she would be angry. 3. If Ningbo Chao disappeared from her life, would she be sad? Answer: yes. Done. These answers didn't seem too good. Shui Yunxin turned over again. But that didn't necessarily mean anything, did it? She might have a crush on Ningbo Chao. A crush is different from liking, loving. A crush still allows you to remain friends. Liking, loving, means striving to possess them. Shui Yunxin's life motto: I want it, I get it. So did she want it? Shui Yunxin turned over again. Careful consideration. Deep thought. Answer: yes. So, she liked Ningbo Chao? She liked Ningbo Chao. After figuring it out, Shui Yunxin closed her eyes and fell asleep. Tomorrow, she was going to confess. He'd surely be startled then, wouldn't he? Huh. The next day was Saturday. Shui Yunxin woke up early, put on a green sleeveless top paired with khaki shorts. She tied her hair back in a small bun, and fearing the morning might be a bit cool, she also took a pure cotton khaki plaid shirt. She was going to work at the company today. She knew Ningbo Chao would be there too. So, today was a good day for her confession. As for whether she would be rejected, Shui Yunxin had actually considered it. She didn't think she would, because she had analyzed it carefully and, rationally, she believed that Ningbo Chao definitely had feelings for her too. Before, she just hadn't thought much about it, but after thinking about it last night, there were loopholes everywhere. For example, that guy constantly posted pictures of meals they had together on his social media, always found different ways to praise her, and always shared his daily life with her. Even cute roadside signs, he'd take pictures to show her. So, that guy definitely had feelings for her. Outfit chosen, silver brushed, curved earrings on. Shui Yunxin was ready to go. I'm off. She greeted her roommate, who had just sat up. I'll tell you the good news when I get back. Oh, her roommate, still half awake, mumbled bye-bye. After Shui Yunxin left the dorm, her roommate suddenly remembered something and sat bolt upright. She picked up the almanac from the table, flipped through a few pages, then put on her glasses and scrutinized it. Auspicious for marriage, betrothal, engagement, prayer. Her roommate was very satisfied. It seems there really will be good news today. Shui Yunxin. Oh, Shui Yunxin. To think you'd start dating in your senior year. The person you like must be a pretty good person, right? I hope you find happiness, my friend who has suffered so much. She got up, washed up, and bit into a small bun. Her roommate also left, shouldering her backpack. She had already secured her spot in the graduate program, so the rest of her senior year had to be spent studying her field in advance. On the first weekend after school started, Simp went to the library to study, and Wei Bo went to work at Lingxi. Although they weren't working together, Wei Bo felt that leaving together like this, each busy with their own things, and then having dinner together in the evening brought a sense of peaceful and beautiful happiness. Especially since the weather was so nice today, it truly felt like autumn. Compared to the humid, sticky heat of summer, Wei Bo, of course, much preferred the cool, crisp expanse of autumn. The car is here, Simp reminded him. I'm off. Wei Bo waved and got into the rideshare car. Simp watched him get in the car, before continuing to walk toward the university. As she reached the school gate, she happened to run into Shui Yunxin. She was wearing a forest-inspired outfit and looked full of life. Man, Shui Yunxin greeted her. I'm heading to work, what about you? Xian Yuman. To the library. Shui Yunxin. Oh, right. I'll treat you and Brother Bo to a meal later. Xian Yuman found that statement a bit strange. Why treat them to a meal? She had helped with the outfit, but Shui Yunxin had already treated her. Besides, Shui Yunxin seemed exceptionally happy today, as if she wasn't going to work but to some important appointment. Okay, Xian Yuman agreed. I'll wait for your invitation. Shui Yunxin said happily. Soon? Huh. Xian Yuman nodded and continued toward the library. Shui Yunxin watched her elegant back, her eyes curving into a smile. She suddenly wondered, from an outsider's perspective, would Wei Bo and Xian Yuman have long thought something was up between her and Ning Wuchao? So, the reason they never had lunch with her and Ning Wuchao, could it be that they were creating opportunities for the two of them to be alone? If Xian Yuman knew what she was thinking, she would definitely tell her. That's not it. You're overthinking things. But Xian Yuman didn't know, and Shui Yunxin let her imagination run wild. She realized she was in a particularly good mood today, with many little thoughts bubbling up. Looking at the fine weather, she even felt that the heavens were smiling upon her. Such good weather, such a beautiful city of Haicheng. It's very suitable for confession, isn't it? Although she now had a stable income, Shui Yunxin was still more accustomed to taking public transportation. A bus transfer to the subway, and she was at the company. Yunxin, you look especially pretty today. Yeah, did something good happen? You're glowing. Did Chen Mao sign another big business deal? Or did Lisa land that sixth female lead role? Shui Yunxin shook her head with a grin. None of those. I just have a feeling something good will happen today. You, in your attitude, the HR person shook her head. It hasn't even happened yet, and you're already happy just based on a feeling? Shui Yunxin, how should I put this? My intuition is very accurate. Usually if I feel something good is going to happen, it definitely will. HR, I hope the good thing you're talking about isn't the afternoon tea I'm about to prepare for you all. Shui Yunxin, there's afternoon tea today? It seems today is indeed a good day. Shui Yunxin had a very ordinary work day. So did Ning Wuchao. The only difference was that the company started having afternoon tea. The HR lady said, we'll have afternoon tea every Saturday from now on. Shui Yunxin didn't work overtime today. After work, she and Ning Wuchao strolled toward the subway station. They chatted as they walked, just like many yesterdays before. Ning Wuchao smiled. Looks like I'll have to come to the office more often on weekends. The working hours at Mu Chao culture were quite flexible. Except for essential positions, both full-time and part-time employees could choose not to come to the office as long as they completed their work. But Shui Yunxin insisted on coming to the office to work, and so did Ning Wuchao. The former's reason was that the office had a better work atmosphere. The latter's was that the company's computers were better for video editing. You already come here often enough. Shui Yunxin walked with a rare bounce in her step. The golden rutilated quartz bracelet on her left wrist swung with her arm's movement, emitting a golden glow in the evening twilight. Ning Wuchao noticed that she seemed to be in an exceptionally good mood today. Did something good happen that I don't know about? Ning Wuchao asked. By now, the two had almost reached the subway station. Shui Yunxin suddenly stopped, turned to look at him, and smiled. Her smile was natural and bright, and seeing it made Ning Wuchao's heart feel lighter. Just like the weather today, it was clear and refreshing. But Shui Yunxin didn't speak, just looked at him and smiled. Ning Wuchao thought she hadn't heard clearly, so he asked again, Did something good happen? Shui Yunxin smiled and nodded. No. Ning Wuchao asked again, Can you share it with me? Shui Yunxin, of course. So Ning Wuchao held his breath slightly, wanted to hear her talk about what made her so happy. Was it that some celebrity had landed a major endorsement or had gotten a certain role? Shui Yunxin was also looking at the big boy in front of her. She had long wanted to touch his woolly curls. After confessing in a bit, she should be able to, right? Such perfectly permed woolly curls should be soft, right? Shui Yunxin imagined the feeling, and her smile brightened. She moved half a small step forward in the bustling crowd, staring only at the person in front of her. I realized something last night, she said. What is it? Ning Wuchao asked. I realize that I like you, Shui Yunxin replied. Her voice was very clear. Ning Guoqiao was certain he had heard every word and hadn't misheard. So his mind suddenly went blank. He even forgot to keep breathing, just standing there dumbly. Shui Yunxin was not very satisfied with his reaction. Ning Guoqiao, I said, I like you. Do you want to be my boyfriend? I've thought this through carefully, and today isn't a weird holiday like April Fool's Day. If you refuse, I'll take it seriously. Also, I was originally going to say this during dinner tonight, but you kept asking and asking. Anyway, I've said it. I realized yesterday that I like you, and I think you seem to like me too, so I'm very happy. I've never been in a relationship. I don't know if it's right to say it so directly, but life is so complicated. Who knows what's right and what's not? Anyway, right now I'm... Yes, Ning Guoqiao suddenly shouted. Shui Yunxin was startled. Passers-by also looked strangely at this person who had suddenly spoken so loudly. I do, Ning Guoqiao shouted again. He stood ramrod straight, breathing rapidly, the tips of his ears flushed red. I know. Shui Yunxin walked to his side, lowering her voice. You don't have to be so loud. It felt like a dream, but it wasn't a dream. Ning Guoqiao, dazed, followed Shui Yunxin into the subway station. It wasn't until they were on the subway, standing together in the crowded car, that the noisy chatter and the massive amount of carbon dioxide cleared his head a bit. He had actually been confessed to by the girl he liked. Now, he and Shui Yunxin were boyfriend and girlfriend. This enormous surprise and happiness made him dizzy, and it took him a long while to recover. Only now did he begin to regret. Did he just act like a fool? Besides, he was clearly the one who was supposed to confess. He had already imagined countless scenarios in his mind for how to confess to Shui Yunxin. But on such an ordinary Saturday, an ordinary evening, an ordinary subway station, Shui Yunxin had so frankly, directly, and passionately said she liked him. Ning Guoqiao suddenly felt that today was not ordinary at all. This was the first workday after the start of school. This evening was particularly cool and comfortable, and everyone on the subway looked very friendly and lovely. How come you're not talking anymore? They arrived at their stop. The two of them got off the subway as usual. Next, they had to transfer to a bus. I'm too happy. Ning Guoqiao became even shyer. Shui Yunxin smiled and pressed him. So when did you start liking me? It hasn't been for a long time, has it? The weather today is so nice. By the way, what should we eat tonight? A whole summer vacation has passed. I wonder if the shops outside have changed. She was as talkative as usual, but her words were now particularly filled with joy. Ning Guoqiao didn't know where he found the courage, but he reached out and took her swinging right hand. Walk slower. There are cars, he explained. Oh. Shui Yunxin lowered her head, looked at their clasped hands, and suddenly became shy as well. Holding hands like this, they walked quietly to the bus stop, waited for the bus to arrive, got on, and went back to school. This was such an ordinary and yet such a special Saturday. It was 9 o'clock at night when Ning Guoqiao returned to the dormitory. The moment Zhou Yin saw him, he perked up. Did you bring me grilled cold noodles? Ning Guoqiao placed the grilled cold noodles on the table in front of him, and then put the wolf-tooth potatoes on Pan Kang's table. In addition, there were 2 cups of red bean paste milk. Zhou Yin was greatly moved. Chower, is this your treat? Ning Guoqiao nodded. When Brother Bai gets back, I'll treat you all to a meal. Pan Kang, taking a sip of red bean paste milk and a bite of wolf-tooth potatoes, was eating with great satisfaction and didn't notice anything wrong with that sentence at all. But Zhou Yin jumped up. Damn, why are you treating us to a meal? Don't tell me you got a girlfriend? Ning Guoqiao nodded shyly. Zhou Yin, holy crap. News of the year. You're dating my sister Yunxin, not someone else, right? Ning Guoqiao nodded again. Zhou Yin immediately evolved into a state of complete excitement, howling a few times. Holy crap. How did you confess? You didn't give your bros a heads up? I didn't even get to help. Pan Kang also chimed in. How could you just confess secretly on your own? Confessing, for others, was a rather private matter. But Ning Guoqiao was different. So both of them had assumed Ning Guoqiao would have a grand and spectacular confession. Even Ning Guoqiao himself thought so. But today, he unexpectedly became the one who was firmly chosen. She said she likes me. With every word he spoke, the back of Ning Guoqiao's ears grew a shade redder, and asked if I wanted to be with her. Ah, Zhou Yin let out a sharp cry. What? The pro-confessor Chao got into a relationship without even confessing. Chao, you've really made it. That's my sister Yinxin for you. So straightforward. Zhou Yin praised sincerely. You really hit the jackpot, kid. The back of Ningbo Chao's ears turned even redder. He also felt incredibly lucky. So much so that even now, everything still felt like a dream. But this was not a dream. He really had a girlfriend now. His girlfriend was the best girl in the world. Ningbo Chao returned to the dorm a little after 9, and Wei Bai received the news at 9:20. Ah, the world has one more little couple who know and love each other. When we see a real couple, what do we say? Of course, we wish them well. Wei Bai shared the good news with classmate Xie, a smile on his lips. Xiaomuman, best wishes. They were watching I Am Dragon when they received the news. A cross-species love story between a beautiful maiden and a dragon. In reality, of course, such stories wouldn't happen. But for ordinary people, an ordinary day, an ordinary meeting, getting to know each other, and falling in love was already incredibly magical and worth cherishing. Bye-bye. Good night. Just good night. He thought classmate Xie was going to be mischievous again. Good night. Wei Bai held her in his arms and fell into a deep sleep. The next day was Sunday, and the weather was still great. Wei Bai went for a morning run with classmate Xie first thing in the morning, and then they went to the gym. It was only after coming back from the gym that he remembered today was the release day for his new songs, Half a Rainy Day and The Other Half of a Rainy Day. He and classmate Xie had written these two songs in a burst of inspiration during their anniversary trip to Island City. As before, it was the same melody with different lyrics. After a year of practice and growth, Wei Bai believed that Half a Rainy Day was much more mature than a song with no name. And the production was also on a much grander scale. Especially the music video, which was shot by Lisa, a new talent heavily promoted by Chun Mao and Mu Chao. The result was incredibly beautiful and artistic. Chun Mao's fans didn't know about this yet. They would probably be pleasantly surprised when a new song was released today. Thinking about it, Wei Bai sent a message to Chui Peng, asking what specific time it would be released. Chui Peng replied, 10 in the morning. Wei Bai glanced at the time. There was less than half an hour until the official release of the new song. The reason he valued Half a Rainy Day so much was, 1, because it was a co-creation with classmate Xie, and 2, because he had released many songs over the past year. But most of them were written to cater to the market for money. Half a Rainy Day was different. It contained his true musical taste and expression. He privately considered it his transitional piece. The current Mu Chao no longer needed him to write catchy, market-pleasing songs to sustain its development. Xiaomuman walked out of the bathroom. Her hair was wrapped in a dry hair towel, and her body was covered only by a bath towel. Having just emerged from the bathroom, she was still shrouded in warm steam. Her shoulders and neck, exposed to the air, were smooth and snow-white. Wei Bai's heart skipped a beat. No matter how many times he looked, he would still be captivated by classmate Xie. And the more time they spent together, the stronger this feeling of captivation became. It was even stronger than when they first met. Although he didn't know the exact moment love happened. But Wei Bai felt that the most beautiful moment was always tomorrow. Because the him of tomorrow would love classmate Xie even more than the him of today. He walked towards his girl and smiled. Let me blow dry your hair. Xiaomuman nodded lightly. She showered first, and Little Turtle would blow dry her hair. After Little Turtle finished his shower, she would blow dry Little Turtle's hair. After drying her hair to the 70% dryness that classmate Xie liked, Wei Bai went to take a shower. Then he sat on a chair, enjoying classmate Xie's gentle service. What service? Blow drying his hair, of course. What else? A boy's hair dries easily, so this service process was over in a few minutes. Wei Bai checked his phone. It was already 10 past 10. Half a Rainy Day and The Other Half of a Rainy Day were already online. It's only been online for 10 minutes. It definitely hasn't gained traction yet. Thinking this, Wei Bai paid more attention to it, planning to check the view count and reviews a day later. After drying his hair, Wei Bai was ready to go to work. Suddenly, he received a message from Lu Chong, asking if he could help get 3 tickets for the Aurora X concert in Haicheng on November 20th. Aurora X is holding a concert in Haicheng in November. Ever since the talent show finals, after Chun Mao debuted in second place, Weibai hadn't paid much attention to Aurora X. Hearing Lu Chong mention it, he became quite interested too. Generally, concerts have internal tickets. Chui Peng should be able to get a few extra, right? After asking Chui Peng, Weibai replied to Lu Chong, "No problem. Weibai, we'll go together then." Lu Chong, "I'm not going. I'm getting them for a patient." Weibai, "A patient?" Lu Chong, "Remember Tao Min, the one I told you about?" Sunday, the weather was great. In the afternoon, Xiao Ying and her best friend Yinzi left Tao Min's house together. The three of them were university roommates and also good friends. In their junior year of university, Tao Min was diagnosed with ALS and had shut herself at home ever since, unwilling to see her friends. Until the Lingxi live stream on July 22 ND. On this day, the printing-style brain computer interface turned from imagination into reality. Deng Honyuan, a high-level quadriplegic, after a short period of training, managed to control a robotic arm with his consciousness and typed out the character for I in front of hundreds of millions of viewers. That word, I, inspired countless people trapped in incapacitated bodies. The company called Lingxi became a source of faith for countless people. Tao Min was one of them. On the night of July 22nd, Xiao Ying sent many messages to Tao Min. She thought Tao Min wouldn't reply, as usual, but unexpectedly, at a little past 1 in the morning, she received several voice messages from Tao Min. That day, they reconnected. ALS, with the scientific name amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, causes a person's muscles to gradually atrophy, leading to slurred speech, difficulty swallowing, and difficulty breathing, eventually resulting in complete paralysis, as if being cruelly frozen. But while the disease freezes the patient's body, it does not damage their mind. Therefore, ALS patients can see, hear, and think. This is simply harder to endure than death. From a lively, youthful university student to now only having one hand that could barely move on its own, Tao Min had long since fallen into despair. She didn't want to be a burden to her family. Her greatest wish was euthanasia. Until July 22nd, the Lingxi live stream. She hadn't wanted to pay attention to this kind of live stream, because even though technology was advancing, ALS was still an incurable disease. Watching this kind of live stream was no different from torturing her heart. But Xiao Ying and Yinzi kept sending her messages and videos. She didn't reply to her friends' messages, but she couldn't bring herself to delete their contact information. So she was forced to learn the result of the live stream. It was a success. Lingxi had succeeded. That night, Tao Min didn't sleep at all. The single character I replayed over and over in her mind. She thought, if one day, she would be completely frozen. But as long as she could type out that word, I, then the darkness wouldn't be so terrifying. Chapter 550 hashtag, sounds good, looks good, hashtag, at 1 in the morning, she replied to Xiao Ying. She said, I want to try. The next day, seeing the message, Xiao Ying cried and then laughed. She immediately helped Tao Min register for treatment on the official website of Haicheng University Affiliated Hospital. After the registration went through, she was still worried, so she begged her mother to contact Wu Ruxin. Unexpectedly, Wu Ruxin, who was already a big star, was very enthusiastic and even connected her, allowing her to add one of Lingxi's founders, Lu Chong, on WeChat. Lu Chong told her that the equipment was already in mass production and was expected to fully cover the needs of Haicheng University Affiliated Hospital by the end of the year. Xiao Ying told this good news to Tao Min. After that day, Tao Min finally got into a wheelchair and came out of her house. After the school semester started, whenever it was the weekend, Xiao Ying would ask Yinzi, who was also a graduate student in Haicheng, to accompany Tao Min with her. Tao Min had limited energy, so they wouldn't disturb her for too long. They usually stayed with her for an hour or two before leaving the Tao residence. Today is Sunday. The weather is great. Xiao Ying and Yinzi were walking and talking on an old street in Haicheng. We have to scramble for tickets tonight. I've already mobilized all my friends and relatives to help me. Xiao Ying said. Me too, Yinzi said firmly. Between the two of us, we have to get at least 2 tickets. The tickets they were trying to get were for the Aurora X concert in Haicheng. The reason the two of them needed to get at least 2 tickets was that Tao Min also liked Chen Mao. Tao Min had recently been learning everything about getting around in a wheelchair because her new wish was to go see Chen Mao live in person. Xiao Ying and Yinzi had to get a ticket for Tao Min. In addition, at least one of them had to have a ticket as well, so they could accompany Tao Min into the venue. We can't just let Min go by herself, can we? Xiao Ying said. We'll definitely get the tickets tonight. Definitely. Yinzi replied. Just then, Xiao Ying received a new message on WeChat. It was from Lu Chang. Right now, Lu Chang's priority for Xiao Ying was even higher than her mentors. Seeing the message, she immediately grew nervous. Could it be that too many people signed up and Lingxi can't handle it? Or was it some other bad news? She immediately tapped it open to read. Lu Chang, the spots at Haida-affiliated hospital are full. Xiao Ying's heart leaped in her throat. Lu Chang, the second batch of applicants has been transferred to Haiqing First People's Hospital. Xiao Ying's heart dropped back down with a thud. Gasping for air, she complained to Yinzi. Why couldn't he have sent these 2 sentences as a single message? Yinzi, who had been watching the chat interface the whole time, had been on the same emotional roller coaster. Seriously, although Lu Chang had given her a huge scare, Xiao Ying quickly typed out a reply, preparing to say something like, thank you, or thanks for your hard work. Unexpectedly, just as she sent her, thank you, she received a 3rd and 4th message from Lu Chang. Lu Chang, you mentioned last time that you wanted to take Tao Min to see Chen Mao with your best friend. Lu Chang, no need to grab tickets. Brother Bai said he'd take care of it. You guys could just go to Mu Chao Culture in a few days to pick up 3 insider tickets. Xiao Ying stared at the 2 messages, stunned for a long moment. Yinzi craned her neck to see. After reading it clearly, she stomped her feet in excitement. Ah, Lu Chang is a god. Wei Bai's an even bigger god. Xiao Ying's eyes grew a little misty. Yeah, they're very, very good people. It's because of people like them that Lingxi exists, and that their friends can have hope. Xiao Ying thought to herself. She would be a fan of Lingxi technology and Mu Chao culture for life. Her emotions were too complex. It took a while before Xiao Ying remembered to reply to Lu Chang. She thought and thought, but really didn't know how to express her gratitude. Yinzi gave her an idea. We're all in Haicheng. Let's treat Lu Chang to a meal. She didn't mention inviting Wei Bai, because she felt he was too distant from them. Won't that be an inconvenience for him? Xiao Ying hesitated. Just to ask, Yinzi said. If he doesn't want to, he'll say no. Xiao Ying thought that made sense, so she replied. Thank you so much. When are you free? I'd like to treat you to a meal. Lu Chang, I'm pretty busy lately. I'll let you know when I'm free. Xiao Ying quickly agreed. Okay. She hadn't expected Lu Chang to actually accept. He was one of the founders of a unicorn tech company. It's probably out of respect for Andy Wu. Xiao Ying suddenly remembered she was a connected person. After all, my mom and Andy Wu are mahjong buddies. Yinzi snickered. And you used to complain about your mom being addicted to mahjong. Xiao Ying, when did I ever say that? Mahjong is clearly a brain-boosting game. As they talked, the 2 of them walked into a noodle shop and casually ordered 2 bowls of noodles for dinner. With the worry of grabbing tickets gone, they were both much more relaxed, sitting down, playing on their phones, and chatting. Xiao Ying, Little Turtle, and classmate Sierra released new songs. Half a rainy day and the other half of a rainy day. Just like a song with no name, there are a couple songs set with the same melody, but different lyrics. Yinzi had also seen the Weibo trending topics. Oh my god, my Gage is actually in the music video. Xiao Ying, something this important, and even the fan groups didn't know. Gage must have wanted to give us a surprise. Yinzi, the production quality of this MV is so high, much better than what Goose puts out. Xiao Ying, I hope his 3-year contract passes quickly, so Gage can return from Goose to the arms of Mu Chao. Yinzi, right, our Gage would just have to suffer for these 3 years. Yinzi was watching the MV with the volume turned down low. Xiao Ying put on her headphones to listen to Half a Rainy Day and the Other Half of a Rainy Day. After listening, she got even more excited. Yinzi, you have to listen to this. Listen carefully. I'm putting it on repeat. Yinzi could hear the song from the MV, but the noodle shop was noisy, so she couldn't hear it clearly. Seeing Xiao Ying's reaction, Yinzi put on her own headphones and watched the MV again. It really is so good. Xiaoying nodded repeatedly. I have a feeling it's going to dominate the charts. Yinzi, everyone in the fan group is telling the sisters to go boost the data for these two songs. Do it. We have to, Xiaoying said hurriedly. This is the first song from Mu Chao culture after Chen Mao's debut. It can't be allowed to flop. In reality, by the time the two of them saw the group message, it was already quite late. The data workers had already been hard at work for most of the day. As a result, terms related to the two songs and the MV had been on the trending topics list for most of the day. The fan groups were full of praise. The comments on the trending topics were also overwhelmingly positive. The 4 characters for hashtag good song good looking hashtag even trended as a separate topic. Xiaoying and Yinzi looked at the trending topics, very satisfied. With a musician like Little Turtle at Mu Chao culture, our gig will definitely not lack for good songs in the future, Yinzi said with contentment. Xiaoying was even happier. A big shot in the group chat said that because of Chen Mao, Aurora X managed to get a song from Little Turtle. We might get to hear it at the concert. Yinzi pouted. Aurora X is just riding my idol's coattails. Chatting and eating, the two walked out of the noodle shop. While waiting for a car in front of the restaurant, Xiaoying suddenly noticed a message in the fan group chat. Has anyone noticed that classmate Xia's surname is Xia, and she's a girl? Many sisters replied below. Sis, you're not thinking of Simp, are you? The surname Xia isn't that uncommon, right? Besides, it's just a stage name, not necessarily her real surname. Exactly. She's the young lady of a top-tier wealthy family. She's going to sing for us. We all default to classmate Xia and Little Turtle being a couple. If classmate Xia is Simp, then wouldn't Little Turtle be way by? Ha ha ha. Are you saying the bosses of Lingxi technology and Mutseo culture are singing for me? Putting it that way, it does sound a bit ridiculous, right? How could Wei Bai possibly give himself the stage name Little Turtle? How could Wei Bai's stage name be Little Turtle? Reading this sentence, Xiaoying suddenly grabbed Yinzi's arm. Do you remember? On the high-speed train during the summer vacation, I ran into Wei Bai and Simp. Yinzi, I remember, what's up? Xiaoying. Simp had a little turtle charm hanging on her backpack. Yinzi, huh? So what? I have a panda on my backpack. What? A little turtle charm? Yes, Xiaoying said excitedly. A round-headed little turtle charm. It looks a lot like the profile picture on Little Turtle's Douyin and NetEase cloud music accounts. Yinzi let out a sharp shriek. Oh my god, the new tech CEO and the multi-billionaire heiress who sing are a famous online couple? Their identities are finally revealed after being popular for a year? What kind of web novel plot is this? Wait, does that mean all the love songs Little Turtle wrote were for Simp? In a song with no name, the lyrics about the year they first met, the escaping balloon, the little dimple, the fumbling confession. It was all real. That's right. Simp has dimples. They were being so obvious with their public displays of affection, and we're only just now realizing it. Both Yinzi and Xiaoying were thrilled by this major discovery. Meanwhile, in the fan group, more and more evidence was being dug up. Wei Bai equals Little Turtle, Simp equals classmate Xia. This incredibly absurd speculation was gradually becoming plausible. I watched the video of Wei Bai and Simp singing during their military training. If they aren't Little Turtle and classmate Xia, I'll eat shit on a live stream, upside down. Wei Bai's speaking voice is different from his singing voice, but the military training video is solid proof. Wei Bai's teacher, Wu Ruxin's son. It only makes sense that he's musically talented, right? Look, when teacher Wu mentioned the songwriter Little Turtle in an interview, her tone became so gentle, and teacher Wu had such a proud look on her face. I never expected the truth to be that Little Turtle is Wei Bai. As the discussion in the fan group heated up, the hashtags hashtag Wei Bai Little Turtle and hashtag Simp classmate Xia quickly appeared on Weibo. By evening, they had reached the #1 spot on the trending list. The comments below were all expressions of shock. The singer I like and the tech mogul I admire are the same person. Help me, I used to think Little Turtle and classmate Xia wouldn't show their faces because they were ugly. I never thought the ugly one was me. Going back to watch Little Turtle's Douyin videos, his figure and hands are clearly Wei Bai's. I can't believe I never noticed before. Ah, Wei Bai and CM Human release songs under couple names. How romantic is that? Real couples are the best. I have a question. Why would Wei Bai call himself Little Turtle? At this moment, a netizen with the username Xiao Ing Loves Cherries appeared and replied to the comment. Because CM Human likes little turtle charms. Pictured here, the round-headed kind. This comment was ignored by the majority of netizens for being too far-fetched. Xiao Ing didn't explain further and went back to shipping her CP. She declared that the best ship of the year had been born. It was Wei Bai and CM Human. Wei Bai is Little Turtle, and CM Human is classmate Xia. Netizens had all but accepted this as fact. The attention this matter garnered far surpassed that of the new song by Little Turtle and classmate Xia, or Chun Mao's guest appearance. All the major social media platforms were abuzz, with discussion levels comparable to Aurora X's debut night. Wei Bai never expected things to turn out this way. In fact, he had gone online to see everyone praise his song. However, regarding the matter of having his cover blown, he didn't really feel much about it himself, because he never intended to hide it from the netizens in the first place. The reason he didn't show his face and use a pseudonym before was to avoid unnecessary trouble when he started university. Besides, in the early stages of starting a business, it was better to keep a low profile. Now, the situation was long different. He had already shown his face on various occasions. With the identities of being the boss of Lingxi in Macao culture, what was the harm in adding one more as a musician? It's just, classmate Xia. I think the school will be asking us to sing at activities and parties frequently from now on, Wei Bai said with a smile. CM Human was very calm. We'll see. Sing if she wanted to, refuse if she wanted to. Huh. How was classmate Xia even more composed and calm than he was? Classmate Xia, did you foresee this day coming? Wei Bai asked. CM Human nodded, her small dimples suddenly appearing. Didn't you? Wei Bai chuckled. I just didn't expect it to happen during our new song's release. It actually affected the hype for our new song. But looking at it from another angle, it might also contribute to each other's popularity. CM Human laughed lightly. The song is good. It will definitely be a hit. As she spoke, she continued to like comments, liking the ones that said they were a perfect match, that they were blatantly showing off their love, that their singing was beautiful. Like. Wei Bai couldn't help but find it amusing seeing the speed at which she was liking comments. Classmate Xia, should we just post on our blogs and admit it directly? He asked. Of course, CM Human had no problem with that. She nodded. Okay. A few minutes later, Wei Bai used his main account to repost the other half of A Rainy Day, published by the classmate Xia account, with a caption, Isn't my girlfriend's new song great? Almost simultaneously, CM Human used her real name verified main account to repost half A Rainy Day, published by the Little Turtle account, with the caption, Thank you everyone for liking my boyfriend's new song. Instantly, Weibo exploded. Speculation was one thing, but having the actual people involved come out and admit it was another thing entirely. Wei Bai was really the hit song machine Little Turtle, and the celestial voice, known as classmate Xia, was really CM Human. I ship them so hard. Seeing a young couple in such a genuine relationship gives me faith in the world. What have I done to deserve having you two sing for me? Wei Bai, you're the man. Your fans can feel at ease standing you. No wonder the love songs are written so well. It's because they're a real couple. The comments section was a sea of harmony. CM Human was very satisfied. But someone looking at the trending topics at such comments couldn't stop tears from wetting her eyes. Ever since that night's dream, where she dreamt that Wei Bai had agreed to give up the school recommendation spot, Suya had been having the same dream repeatedly. The dream would always end abruptly after Wei Bai agreed. She desperately wanted to know what would happen next. Now, looking at these trending topics, she knew Wei Bai would have agreed to her request, and they would have gotten into Shanghai University together. He would write songs, she would sing them, they would collaborate on love songs, and become the musician couple envied by the entire internet. Everything should have happened so naturally. But now, the one enjoying all of that was not her, but CM Human. Fate had taken a wrong turn somewhere. That day, Wei Bai, who had always been completely compliant with her wishes, had actually refused her request. And so, everything that followed was completely different. Her Wei Bai had been stolen by CM Human. Tears streamed down her face. and her heart ached terribly. She had heard Wei Bai sing. Many times she had known long ago that little turtle was Wei Bai, but the her from before was so naive and childish, she had never truly realized what she had lost. It wasn't until now, seeing the screen full of praise and admiration, seeing Siem Yuman become the girl everyone envied, that she truly understood. What she had lost was not just a childhood friend, not just a lover, but also the brilliant future that should have been hers. She had loved singing and performing since she was a child. That shining superstar should have been her. This night was exceptionally hard to endure. So you didn't know what time it was when she finally managed to fall asleep. This time, she dreamed again. In the dream, she was wearing a white coat and a blue scarf, looking at Wei Bai with eyes full of anticipation. Wei Bai looked at her, seemingly in great pain, yet also numb, and he nodded. Okay. He agreed. Having failed the college entrance exam twice, Suya already understood how unreasonable that request was, yet he agreed. The him in the dream loved Suya. For her, he would even give away such an important spot. Lying on her side in bed, Suya's tears flowed uncontrollably. This time, the dream did not end there. She saw Wei Bai agree, and Wei Bai really did it. The spot went to Zhen Hongxian, who was ecstatic and studied twice as hard so as not to waste the opportunity. Wei Bai also worked hard, consistently ranking at the top in the second and third mock exams. According to the mock exam results, his admission to Shanghai University was almost a certainty. Until the eve of the college entrance examination, Zhen Hongxian asked her to take a walk in the neighborhood and held her hand for the first time. She was both shy and scared. When she looked up, she unexpectedly saw Wei Bai standing not far away, his face grim. No, it wasn't like that. Suya wanted to rush over and explain to Wei Bai that it wasn't what he saw. That was the her from before, not the her of now. The current her had long since moved on from Zhen Hongxian. However, Suya couldn't control the self in her dream. She could only watch helplessly as Zhen Hongxian looked at Wei Bai with provocation, and Wei Bai left, dejected. Immediately after was the college entrance examination. Sitting in the examination hall, Suya was extremely nervous. Having failed the exam twice, it didn't bring her the dawn of victory, but the shadow of failure. The bell rang, and the candidates began to answer the questions. This time, it wasn't her answering, but the her in the dream. A her who had smoothly passed her senior year, always ranking among the top in her studies. She answered the questions quickly and smoothly. When the last exam ended, Suya knew she would definitely get into Shanghai University. Apart from Zhen Hongxian, this was simply the most beautiful dream in the world. After leaving the examination hall, she was interviewed by the media. Suya saw how bright and confident she looked. She didn't even want to wake up. If her life in the dream was so outstanding, why should she wake up? Soon, the college entrance examination results were out. Seeing her score, Suya jumped for joy. Zhen Hongxuan's score was a bit lower than hers, but if he performed well in the independent recruitment, he still had a great chance of getting into Shanghai University. Suya didn't care about Zhen Hongxian. She only wanted to know how Wei Bai did. He must have been the top scorer again, right? After this, would he start making music? This time without Siem Yuman's appearance. The songs Wei Bai wrote would be for her to sing, right? This is great. Everything is developing in the direction she wanted. It had been a long time since Suya had such a beautiful dream. So beautiful that a smile lingered on her lips. I bombed the exam. I'll probably only get into an ordinary university. When she asked about his results, this was Wei Bai's reply. No. How could that be possible? Wei Bai was clearly this year's top scorer in the science stream. How could he only get into an ordinary university? This is impossible. Suya panicked. Wasn't this a beautiful dream? Why would such an unrealistic plot appear? Suddenly, Suya remembered the eve of the college entrance examination, when she and Zhen Hongxian held hands. Wei Bai was so dejected and sad at that time. Could it be that because of that hand-holding, Wei Bai underperformed? It's okay. Actually, it doesn't matter if Wei Bai gets into Shanghai University or not. His musical talent and investment talent weren't something he only acquired by attending Shanghai University. Thinking this, Suya heard herself say something very sweet. Bye-bye, don't be sad. As long as you apply to a university in Haicheng, we can still see each other often. Okay, Wei Bai said, I'll apply to a university near Shanghai University. Suya was very satisfied. Yes, just like that. Although not in the same university, they would be close, and they could still see each other often. During the summer vacation, Weibai did not write and release songs, as Suya had hoped. It wasn't until his freshman year that he wrote his first song, Spring Breeze Slumbers. It was slightly different from Wu Ruxin's version in reality. One could tell it was written specifically for a young girl. Suya saw herself sing this song as she had wished. However, when a new song was released, something incredible happened in Suya's eyes. She actually demanded of Weibai that both the composer and lyricist credits be given to Zhen Hongxian. Oh my god, how could she make such a bizarre request? This was even more unbelievable than asking Weibai to give up his school recommendation spot. No, this wasn't her. This was the her who was bewildered and deceived by Zhen Hongxian. Zhen Hongxian got into Shanghai University, and their relationship grew closer and closer, even becoming a couple. So you had to admit that the Zhen Hongxian who got into Shanghai University was completely different from the one in her memory, who raced cars and did drugs. Under her gentle guidance, Zhen Hongxian became more and more outstanding and handsome, even earning the title of the freshman campus beau. It seemed quite normal for the self in the dream to fall for such a Zhen Hongxian, right? Suya understood the past self in her dream. Just like her past self, she was a girl whose head was turned by love. For the sake of love, she would do some bizarre things. In the eyes of the current Suya, those things were unreasonable to the extreme. But the Weibai in the dream loved her too much, willing to agree to those bizarre requests. Yes, Weibai agreed. He agreed to give the songwriting credit to Zhen Hongxian. Suya's tears flowed again. She knew Weibai used to love her, but she didn't know that Weibai loved her so deeply in the dream. Suya loved Senong Swan deeply. Weibai was completely obedient to Suya. And so, Suya became famous, and Zhen Hongxian transformed into a young entrepreneur. But those songs were clearly all written by Weibai. Even the company was run by Weibai. Suya watched everything in horror. She watched Zhen Hongxian become more and more handsome and spirited, and watched Weibai become more and more inconspicuous and even depressed. At first, it was just the right to be credited for a song. The Suya in the dream never imagined that things would develop to this point. She had also felt guilty and uneasy, but once she enjoyed the adoration and the spotlight, she would forget the guilt and the facts. Yaya, I'm so envious that you have such an outstanding boyfriend like CEO Jun. Suya is truly a winner in life. Who wouldn't want to be Suya? She's beautiful, sings well, and has such a talented boyfriend. Yes, Weibai didn't even get into high university, and later he became more and more obscure and unnoticeable. How could a Weibai like that compare to Zhen Hongxian? After Zhen Hongxian went to university, he exuded a charismatic personality that even his teachers and classmates admired. If Spring Breeze Slumbers was credited to Weibai, would the song still have become popular? Not necessarily, right? After all, luck is also a part strength. However, she and Weibai were the best of friends. Even if Weibai became more and more degenerate and dim, she would not give up on him. She would continue to sing the songs Weibai wrote, pay him, and give him confidence and support. Suya heard her in the dream, thinking this way. No, wrong, it's all wrong. Zhen Hongxian is a vile thief, a straw bag with a fancy exterior, a philanderer who flirts with many girls behind your back. Weibai is the one who truly loves you, the one who is truly brilliant. Suya, how could you be so stupid? Suya watched her in the dream make one mistake after another, tears streaming down her face. Her tears soaked the pillow, and she woke up once again. Another nightmare. How could her in the dream be so naive, so foolish? Because Zhen Hongxian's acting was too good? Yes, it's all because of Zhen Hongxian. Zhen Hongxian deceived her. Suya clutched the corner of the quilt, her heart about to break. She wasn't the kind of person who would increasingly neglect or even look down on Weibai just because he didn't get into high university. She was clearly the person who understood and supported Weibai the most. She clearly, like a withered branch, she sat until dawn. Suya was afraid of the daylight. She didn't go to university and didn't dare to go out and face the gazes of her neighbors. She could only lock herself at home, day after day. Outside the door came Sun, Winley's weary voice. Suya, if you don't want to study anymore, then go out and get a job. Suya's eyes widened suddenly. How could she possibly get a job? She was Suya. She just couldn't face her failed life for a moment, just temporarily escaping. The one who understood her the least was her own mother. Suya wiped away the tears that flowed from sadness and shock, picked up her phone, and tapped on a chat window she hadn't opened in a long time. She really wanted to talk to someone. She knew that those former friends and classmates were all laughing at her. But Wu Tsong wouldn't laugh at her. In the chat window, the last message was from Wu Tsong, who had seen her group broadcast and advised her to quit quickly. At that time, she thought Wu Tsong was hindering her dream of becoming a star. Now, she knew she was wrong. Wu Tsong was concerned about her. That's why she advised her. Suya, Tsong, I had a dream. Wu Tsong replied more than 10 minutes later. Wu Tsong, Zhen Hongxian is more adored and more successful, so you love Zhen Hongxian. Wei Bai is more successful, so you love Wei Bai. Suya, don't you understand yet? You only love yourself. How could Wu Tsong say that about her? How could she be that kind of person? Suya couldn't help but retort. When I liked Zhen Hongxian before, he was so poor, and his studies weren't as good as Wei Bai's. Wu Tsong, at that time, you were immersed in the script of saving the school bully, thinking you were a girl like an angel, weren't you? It wasn't like what Wu Tsong said at all. At that time, she was truly deceived by Zhen Hongxian, thinking they were in true love. Wu Tsong was her best friend. How could she say that about her? Suya trembled with anger, and tears streamed down again. She thought Wu Tsong wouldn't laugh at her, that she was someone who genuinely cared about her. Unexpectedly, Wu Tsong was just like those people, waiting to mock her. Suya, are you any better? Didn't you have a crush on Qi Wenhao in high school? Do you dare say you liked Qi Wenhao not because he was rich? Seeing Suya say such words, Wu Tsong smiled faintly. Wu Tsong, yes, I used to like Qi Wenhao because he was rich and like a noble young master from a novel. So I now admit that I was shallow back then. People grow up. What about you, Suya? Wu Tsong, you always say you regret it, but what is it that you truly regret? Wu Tsong, are you regretting hurting Wei Bai, or are you regretting it now that you see he's successful? Wu Tsong, Suya admitted. You just enjoy being the object of everyone's admiration. Suya couldn't believe it. That was the kind of person she was in Wu Tsong's eyes. She was clearly kind, innocent, and wonderful. Just because she made one wrong choice, did she deserve to be insulted like this? She had originally wanted to find someone to talk to pour out the bitterness in her heart. Unexpectedly, she was met with a large basin of ice water thrown in her face. Wu Tsong's undisguised malice made Suya's heart turn cold once more. Perhaps she thought Wu Tsong had been jealous of her. After all, Wu Tsong was so ordinary, so unremarkable. Was it really okay for me to say that? Wu Tsong looked at her roommate beside her. The roommate shrugged. If you're talking about your friendship, it's definitely over. But I think, many years from now, she might thank you for it. Wu Tsong smiled. I don't want her thanks. As long as I can talk some sense into her, I'll be very happy. The roommate was curious. Tsong, from your description, this Suya is quite a strange one. Why do you still want to help her? Wu Tsong thought for a moment and said, even if it was just an act of kindness, she did help me a lot in the past. She explained problems to me, lent me her error logbook and notes to look at. She even made me a birthday present with her own hands, a little crocheted dog. Putting aside matters of the heart, she used to be really outstanding, a goddess at school. I don't want to see her fall so low. The roommate sighed. I hope she can really come to her senses, go to school properly, and not waste the good intentions behind you playing the bad guy to scold her. Wu Tsong looked at the chat interface, at a photo of Suya in her high school uniform, standing in the hallway. She had taken it casually at the time, thought it was pretty, and set it as the background for their chat. Looking at this beautiful and proud photo, Wu Tsong murmured, I hope she can understand. The roommate changed the subject, talking about today's trending topics. I never thought Little Turtle and classmate Xia were actually Wei Bai and Xiam Yuman. Tsong, you were high school classmates with them, right? Is Xiam Yuman as beautiful in person as she is in photos and videos? Wu Tsong recalled Xiam Yuman and nodded. Yes, very beautiful. She didn't know what was wrong with her back then, to actually think Suya was prettier than Xiam Yuman. Thinking back now, she felt she must have been blind. Then were she and Wei Bai really together in high school? The roommate pressed. I'm not sure either, Wu Tsong recalled. I think they were still in the friend stage back then. But everyone in our school knew that Siam was cold and aloof towards all boys, except for Wei Bai. It was laughable that she, like Suya, had thought Wei Bai was just throwing a tantrum and would one day return to Suya's side. But in reality, while Suya was making one mistake after another, Wei Bai had already met his true love. Hearing Wu Tsong-Song's words, the roommate had a look of "I ship it" on her face. So that's why he wrote such a pure love song, like a song with no name after high school graduation. Wu Tsong-Song sighed. Yeah, Wei Bai is actually a very pure-hearted person. On Monday at school, Wei Bai felt that everyone was looking at him a little strangely. He just had his singer persona revealed. That shouldn't be too shocking, right? Besides, didn't everyone already know he was the boss of Mu Chao culture? Isn't it perfectly normal for the boss of a music company to make music himself? He couldn't understand. Why were the looks from everyone in the classroom so strange? Of course, everyone here didn't include his few dorm mates, because they had long known that Wei Bai was Little Turtle. The four of them sat in 2 rows, front and back. Wei Bai's seatmate was Zhou Yin. As soon as Zhou Yin arrived, the atmosphere around their desks became lively. The student in front, who had originally felt a little distant from Wei Bai, finally turned around to speak. Bai Xin, you don't have other secret identities, do you? Like some young scientist, the last disciple of some national treasure-level master, an artist whose paintings shock the nation, a top-secret Special Forces soldier who occasionally needs to go on special missions. What was all this? Have you been reading too many novels about secret identities? Wei Bai had to deny it. Would you believe me if I said no? The student in front. No. Wei Bai? I really don't. Could this be the reason everyone was looking at him so strangely? Such a rich imagination. It seems tomato novels have had a profound influence. Wei Bai denied it firmly. The student in front turned back with a suspicious look. Zhou Yin whispered, Brother Bai, with our relationship, you can't keep any secret projects from me. Special Forces, that sounded so cool. Could he tag along?